on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone.
How you doing, brother?
Hey, good sir. How about yourself?
All alone.
I'm a happy man. Life is good.
Sister just called me, told me she has to reschedule her wedding. The venue that has a capacity for 2 weddings on any given day. Body to all their shared wedding day. It's one of those things where she wants to do like an Airbnb, so everybody stays the night and we all eat breakfast together. Like 3 days full? Yeah, from the 4th to the 2nd, which is a Wednesday. It's like 13 months.
I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on
Oh yeah,
the
that's what I was thinking too. So apparently they can make
I
this
don't wanna
change
be left on the outside, all alone. All alone.
Discussing that heat in the street, and we got just what you need on vitamin G. You rockin' with beasts, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beasts, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beasts, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Rockin' with beasts, discussing the heat in the streets. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beasts, discussing the heat in the streets. Got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beasts, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Vitamin G.
I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone.
You guys hear me?
Yep.
All alone.
Yeah, I don't think you can hear us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I play as Valor.
Oh, why?
I'm on the outside looking
Yeah,
in,
that's not gonna work.
and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone.
Yep. Can you hear us, Barry?
All alone.
Yeah, he said he said it was just the way he was holding his mic.
Yeah, my headset. Like, you probably hear me better now, but
Discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east.
Listen
Got what
out
you
for
need, a
people.
dose of this vitamin G.
yeah.
You rockin' with beasts, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G.
So yes, but
Discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G.
so I'm talking to Zale, right? And usually he just says, you know, can't wait till we get to this place. And I'm like, yeah, me too. Is there
What
anything
other
else?
feelings do you have, buddy?
It's just a little weird because there's so many campfires, and I think I have the expectations of a game like Grandia, or I mean, name it, where you have the introspection moment where he goes, man, you know, there's a lot of other things going on, or like even like Baldur's Gate, right? Baldur's Gate's got all this stuff that you can talk about, and what they think of each other, right? Like
Right.
Zale never says what he thinks about like Sarai. Like what do you think of this person? Like you know, like do you have any sort of like thoughts about why this person has these types of powers? Like,
Solstice Warrior. You sure are, buddy. Anything else?
Right. I'll say it's right. I'm a Souls.
I already know how I'm coming, man. Tryna run the town. Tell no duck when they hear that sound. How they gon' come up now? Heavy as the head that'll wear that crown. I'm going pound for pound. And if it's about smoke, then we talk all of that. From an ounce to a pound. Check it, they biting this now. Cause my drip right out the seat. How could they be? Give me a couple of rounds. Cause I'm a beast when I'm on vitamin G. You see this start crumbling now. Mad struck start mumbling now. Get the gist, I ain't reaching for cloud. Plot twist, I'm the one with the keys. Clock blitz, know they love how I freeze. Different continents, I be torn. We living life, making yours look boring. See, we win at the end, it's a spoiler warning. Cause I keep heating up, I might blow the whole planet. They calling me toxic like global warming. But they keep tuning in once again and again. I'm the one at the top, just to form a warning. Truly, I'm De Niro when it come to movies. Get De Niro, entertain the groupies. Habanero if you come pursue me. But I hop on the gang, too busy rolled up whenever my girl getting moody. Let me go with the gang, we all go insane. Catching them bills on the duty. I'm in Stixie, I'm locked in. Bought a box, I was like 10. Back then, used to box, nowadays they ain't throwing hands. Mama said we got more advanced. One thing about me, I adapt, bought a Glock fin. Keep me safe from the block in. The game kept me off the block. Ain't got flex about looting my Ruger. I can shit on you with my computer. See my graphics card costs more than your damn job can afford to pay you. And my monitor, big as hell, detail, so I can see when I spray you. To reload the clip and record the clip is go all say to that SSD. Know a whole lot of trill game heads like me wanna see tuned into that VGP. Take over the west and the east, and we got just what you need on vitamin G.
All right,
I think Sea of Stars definitely has a very good overlap.
Hello. Welcome everybody. Episode I think 216 Vitamin Podcast. I host Jay Farrow. And today looks like I just got Zero and Kofi. So what have you guys been up to? I'll kick it off with Kofi. What have you been?
So since the last podcast, which I basically missed all of, I have platinumed Remnant 2. I have put a lot of hours in Remnant 2, man. I'm like 270 hours into this game, and I've made some really good friends on here. A friend of mine, he is on the final boss on the hardest difficulty, and we're trying to get him through so that he can get the final weapons. I ended up beating the game on the hardest difficulty about a week ago, and then another friend of mine beat the game on the hardest difficulty by with his own team as well, which is really interesting because we've put in a lot of work together as a trio, but we didn't finish the game together at all. I kind of just joined his game one time, and I was like, "Look what I got!" And he was like, "Look what I got!" It was the same weapon, so special moments here and there. Remnant 2 is great. I really wish that they would hit us with that DLC a little bit sooner, but I think the reason the game is so special to me is because there's just so much stuff you can miss in one roll, which is basically like a random generation of your dungeon and map, and you could go through a place 5 times and you probably missed something, or you made a decision that locked you out of another option. And even 270 hours in, there's still some significant stuff I don't have, which is just crazy to think about. So, really a special game to me, and I'll be talking about it probably even at the end of the gen, how much time I have in this. Other than that, though, I did finish Cry Machina. Great action RPG that plays like Nier Automata. Much more of a budget than Nier Automata, but still very, very inspired. The publisher Furyu has always made smaller RPGs. They in fact just announced a remaster of a old school 3DS RPG. Reg, you might know it's called Legend of Legacy.
Yes, I do know.
Uh, yeah, so like Fudio has always been around, man. Or like there's another one that they released called Trinity Trigger that came out last March, like March 2022, I think it was. Um, so they've been around. They're always making new IPs, and so I love them because we're always talking about, oh, there's so many sequels, but Cry Machina really is their own twist on like the AI world and how humanity would be encapsulated if they were to be wiped out and the only thing left was AI. So that's really cool. Then of course I can't forget to talk about Sea of Stars. I am maybe 20 or so hours into Sea of Stars. Sometimes my PlayStation just is up and running, so those hours are I think a little bit bloated. Um, but I'm having a really good time with Sea of Stars. I really think that the gameplay and the exploration and the puzzles are all really, really thoughtful. I love that, they're, I'm not sure what engine Sea of Stars runs on, but it's obvious they spent a lot of time in it. One thing I noticed is like any mechanics that you interact with in the world are independent from what you are doing. Like if you are activating a puzzle that floods water into a room. It doesn't make you stand still and watch the water fill the room. Everything you do is different from the things you're activating, and I know that takes a lot of extra focus. Uh, you know, for an indie game studio, indie dev studio. Even though, it's been discussed that while we consider this team indie, their budget is big. Apparently their budget got as big as about $10 million, which is just not, I think, what we think of when we think of something like Chained Echoes or I don't know, name another RPG. I just doubt that 10 million is average for an indie developer studio to have as funding. So it really shows, and I am so far happy with it. I do have some concerns around character depth and their interactions. There's a lot of campfire scenes where you're able to sit down with your characters, have a meal, listen to stories and lore. That's really cool. But character reflection is a little bit thin. And so if you're with a character and you just want to know like what are you struggling with? Is there a loss that, or it doesn't have to necessarily be people talking about their weaknesses, but it also could be people talking about trying to understand the world that they live in or exploring things that they've never seen before. And there isn't really a lot of depth there. They just say, "Hey, we're just ready to go to the next place," and that sometimes it feels a little bit empty. Um, but that might change as I get farther in the story. Only Reggie knows, I think, how far I am, like compared to like the halfway point. I have no idea. Um, but
You still
yeah.
got some time to go.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
good.
got some time to go.
Okay, that's good. But that's basically it for me. Armored Core is still there. Armored Core is still running that, and then I'm just not very far in it. And then Baldur's Gate 3. I just haven't even really spent time on Baldur's Gate 3. When I do I spend time with that, it's going to be like me hunkering down and focusing on that alone. So
Yeah.
giving a bit of a break.
How do you feel about your yes, brother not uh, talking much about the game? Back- uh,
I haven't seen people talk about it a lot, but I have seen a lot of my friends is playing it.
Well,
Like I've got
you
like
have a
maybe
lot of
50.
JRPG. You have a lot of JRPG. Like you're in a
Is
community of JRPG.
I mean, it's all around. Like I do have some friends from Gran Turismo that have jumped into it, and it's just because of the hype.
Yeah.
Because I spent like 100 hours in GT last year, so I would say half of my online like friends came from GT that are on today, but they're all playing BG3. But they don't podcast,
Yeah.
so I
Um,
haven't heard like a lot of people talking about it. But
yeah, because
my
like it was a
friends list
lot of
is like, "Wow, you're playing BG? Like, do you even play RPGs?" And that's I think the surprise to me.
it was a lot of talk about it. In August that actually released.
Yeah, not a lot of talk. I think it's just a lot of playing. I'm
Yeah, I'm
seeing a
sure a lot of people are
lot.
playing it. It's a big, not saying
Yeah,
not just like in the early conversation around how we heard all these around it. a lot of people were hyping games that weren't actually playing it at the time. Your
Yeah,
thoughts
I
on that?
hear that.
Um,
In general, oh, go ahead. I wasn't
no,
sure.
oh, go ahead. Oh, that was one.
No, I mean,
I know you
yeah,
enjoy that
I
game.
haven't. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love the game, and it could very well be my game of the year. East 10, I think, is another front runner for me, and of course, Star Ocean 2. There's so much going on. Um,
A
but yeah,
remake will be your game of the year, a 1-for-1.
Goddamn right it will.
it could be. I'm gonna leave it. My personal. I'm not gonna say that it deserves to win at like any sort of award show because you're right. They had their chance, I guess, at whatever award show
I
was available
mean,
when it was 1998. But
1998. Okay, since the game came out
for
in
me personally,
1998,
it could.
a game that
But for
released in
me personally,
1990.
it could.
Yeah, but I think for everyone, the game released in 1998. I mean, how many people that are gamers really played? Like,
Right.
you got to think about it. Like a lot of people, you know, they they grow in and grow out of it. So,
Yeah.
the audience that they had like 30 years ago, a lot of them.
True.
On top of that, a lot of them weren't born yet. So you got a whole group of
That's what I'm saying.
people who
That's what I'm
are
saying. A lot of
seeing this for the
people.
first time.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. A lot of people that did play it don't game anymore, and a lot of people will play it now. Never weren't even born yet, or never even had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Their first console may have been a PlayStation, and even though it was fully backwards compatible, why not out of sight, out of mind at that? Like first was on PlayStation 1.
Yeah. PlayStation
Yep.
1.
Classic
Yeah,
with a double disc.
Oh, was it? I forgot about that.
we're getting back to
Yeah.
we're getting back to double disc. Oh, we were getting
Apparently with Final Fantasy,
getting back to double.
Yeah, with Final Fantasy.
Well, actually,
which
they're all
I,
one freaking. It's
I mean, you know, Pharaoh serves to piss me
Oh
off to
boy.
no end. Everything about I'm very excited for Rebirth, but then they were like, oh, multiple discs. I was like, so you just won't give us the entirety of this thing in one go. You're just gonna bleed us out for the next probably 4 to 5 years.
I'm surprised they're doing it in 3 games.
Did they? Did they confirm it was 3?
Yes, it's a trilogy.
Okay.
All right,
If it was
so
up to me, I would do
basically,
more.
see, this is the thing that I hate about like I love that they released the release date and all that. I got my collector's edition, but one of the things that I do hate is that they're just telling us too much. Like on the way to like they're so excited about the game that they're just giving us too much before the game comes out. And I'm
Yeah,
not even
actually,
a
I didn't
person.
look at any of the highlights.
I'm not looking. I haven't looked at any videos or anything like that. But just like from some little tidbits that I'm hearing, like they're just going too far and telling us too much, and I'm not a big fan of that. So I've been kind of staying away from it. Um, but two of the things that I did hear that aren't really a big deal is that they are going to eventually at some point tie in Advent Children to the remake. Um, and like basically keeping the game as one continuous loop. So, and then what's the other thing? They've been speaking too much about Zach. Yeah, I've seen little things here and there. I
I
haven't read it
agree.
too much, but they've been saying too much about Zach.
I agree. They should everything. Zach should be pretty much lip shut. We will find out Zach when the game is out.
Yeah, they like just the fact that they're mentioning him is just too much. I can't tell you any details about Zach, but I know that they're talking about him.
Yeah, I looked at some stuff. I won't talk about it. I actually even made a conscious effort to like not post some of the videos in our chat because I was like, they probably don't want to see this. What I will say, and this isn't any surprise because we knew this place was coming. The Golden Saucer looks awesome.
Oh, the Golden Saucer.
It was my most.
Amazing.
I did see a couple of clips.
I've seen some still frames and like maybe like little like 3-second clips, but I haven't like watched the full trailer. Like outside of the trailer that he showed at the Keeley show, which I think was very appropriate. I haven't watched anything else.
Yeah, there's 2. There's the trailer that dropped, and then at TGS they had some people. give
The
some
TGS had
hands-on
way too much
impressions.
stuff. Yeah, TGS had way too much. They
Yeah,
gave people they gave people demos. Like, you're giving people demos
yeah,
of what?
they played actual demos.
Like, the game comes out in February and you're giving out demos in December. Like, that's um so I mean, if it was like, December or January, then yeah, but it's like coming out February 29th. So yeah, that's crazy. Um but yeah, uh sorry about that tangent. Zero, what you been playing? What you been up to?
Going on, people? Glad to be back. I know it's been a little bit with us. But I really been playing a lot. Start off with Sea of Stars, Sea of Thieves, which is a really, really good game. I pretty much agree almost with everything that Kofi stated in regards to, it's kind of bare bones when it comes to fleshing out its sort of central characters, or kind of a lot of the characters in the world. But it just sort of gives me a reminiscence of sort of older SNES type RPGs, or even something from the PlayStation 1 era, where you didn't get a lot, but the game is solid. The mechanics are solid. It's beautiful looking. The music slaps. So, like, if you're into all of that,
Yeah.
it's a really good game. Uh, Game of the year? Maybe. Well, no. Will it get in the space? Maybe, but that might be a conversation for another day. Because I got some thoughts about what Game of the Year is going to look like this year. But outside of that, finally, after probably a year and a half at this point, cracked open the Great Ace Attorney Detective Chronicles, which is just miles and miles better than the original ones. Like, the people move, there's reactions. It's still kind of funny. I'm not very far, so I'm probably about 5 hours into what probably is a 100-hour game, depending on how fast you read. So, looking forward to that. Very happy. I am back in the streets of Destiny, because the final shape will end and we will be revealed come next year, spring of next year. So I said I'll give it one last hurrah for this game that I've been playing for about 10 years now. It has been one hell of a ride, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but I've had a blast all the way through. So I'm committed until I think it's February or March. I think is when the next one drops.
Did you see that
What's
all
what's
the
coming
Ace
then?
attorneys are launching into Game Pass?
Yes, and more importantly, the Apollo Justice,
Yeah, I
I
saw that
believe, is
too.
also coming to Game Pass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
both of
which
them.
for those who don't know, Apollo Justice is he's a prosecutor, not a defense attorney. So you play a different way, I believe. So I think that's right. I could be wrong.
Putting
So
people
it's a
in jail.
different style of game. So that would be very interesting to see. And more people playing the Ace Attorney series means we can get more Ace Attorney games. So I'm here for it. One of the best visual novels I think we have. Outside of that, nothing big. I got into 2 Point Hospital, which is very, very fun. Having a good time with that. Of course, I played the Star Ocean demo, but I won't really get into that until Star Ocean the game drops. All I'll say is that I'm loving it. I've not come across any things that I do not like so far. With one minor caveat, I do wish it was sort of true 2D HD. It's not just there. If it looked a bit more like Octopath, I think I would love this game a whole lot more.
Wow.
But otherwise, that's it. I'm looking forward to talking, and we got the next couple months about to be wild. I completely forgot that Spider-Man and Mario drops on the same day.
Yeah, they drop in what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And Jubei has rolled in. Want to congratulate him on the new edition and hear about what he's been playing.
That's right, man. Congratulations.
Think you better than me? Is that what you're doing?
Shut your ass. How you guys doing?
Three
Yeah,
bumped up in that
ain't
MK1. Still ducking me in Street
no,
Fighter 6.
actually, I'm not ducking nobody anywhere, anytime, bro. Anywhere, anytime, in any game. Still playing Starfield.
Oh yeah.
I need to jump back into Cyberpunk. I'm probably just gonna start all the way over with this new update. So that should be fun.
Apparently the game's a 9 now.
Yeah, apparently so. It just took several years. I do need to get back into Destiny and
What game is a 9
party up
now?
with Zero for a little bit. Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, okay. It was a 9 when it launched.
No.
It did
You
launch at
know
a
it launched
90.
like a
It was a game.
Stop!
It was a
it
game
launched
when
like
it launched.
a turd. It was a game.
No, what I'm
Yeah,
saying
when
is,
it launched.
I'm saying meta-wise, it was in the 90s. Like they ignored.
No.
Yes, they ignored all the issues with the lower versions, and they gave it. When it launched, we talked about it. We did a whole show on like this game got a 90 Metacritic despite all of its flaws.
I think we all agree. Even
We're not saying that.
despite
I'm
the
not saying that it
meta,
deserved it.
it was a
but I'm
game
saying
when
that
it launched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, though.
I'm not saying that it deserved it. I'm saying that we did a show like that we were talking about. Does it deserve this rating? Because it did have all of these issues on it.
Yeah, and I'll add to Jube's point. Like apparently, like Jube, that's in this day and age, that's the best way to play Cyberpunk now. Is to basically start all the way over and
Yeah.
like experience it as if you've never played it before.
As if you never played it before. Yep.
Need that edge
So
runners.
I'm looking.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. No cap. I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like, yo. For real, for real.
I gotta get it on. I gotta get it on PC so I can do that third person.
Yeah, that should be tight.
I can't play first.
Yeah, you think so?
I do like
Yeah.
it, but like it's like I can't do it for like a whole. Like I like how Starfield how you.
Yeah, whenever you want.
How far are you in Starfield, Jube?
I am 60 hours and I'm just meandering. I'm not really doing much, to be honest.
How are you enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it quite a bit, actually. I think just the coolest thing was just like I ran into like I had this mission like with a terramorph and it just basically played out like a really dope alien movie, like a Ridley Scott movie. I thought was pretty cool. So looking forward to more of that. I'm still trying to figure out shipbuilding, but that's going to take like several hours of my time to get that right. So
Build the ultimate
And that
ship.
should-
I haven't got to the shipbuilding part yet. I think I'm like 5 hours.
I've bought some ships. I've definitely spent bread. Like I have like 500K already that I'm just.
Whoa,
sitting
that
on.
sounds like a lot. Is that a lot? Or
I mean, the best ship in the game is like 380. So I could buy it if I find the shop that it's in, but
I saw somebody created like a automated like mining type facility. So like his money's just
Yeah.
coming in like he just has to
like
just
crazy.
have the system.
He just
on.
has to exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he created like
Definitely.
several outposts and they all have like automated systems that like transport the goods, sell everything. He doesn't have to touch it for money.
Yeah, I got to figure out the outpost building. Like I built some structures and like, oh, you need to power it. You need, and I was like, solar power. Oh, you need titanium. Like fuck, the one thing I left at my at my hideout, I don't have space. So got to travel all the way somewhere else, go get it, and come back and build it. I wish I could like touch my storage from wherever the fuck I'm at, but I understand why I can't.
Makes it more realistic that you gotta go get it.
Yeah, it does.
Fuck.
Yeah, I've actually been 100%ing a lot of the planets. Like,
whoa,
my first 6 hours was spent like making sure I scanned everything I could on that first planet that you end up on. So, and it's actually a really easy way to make money. Like every planet you scan, you can get like something like 6,000 credits or some shit to trade in, and that's usually triple like what a mission will pay out for a side quest.
That's one thing that's going to be true. Jube ain't going to be broke nowhere. Not in video games, not in real life. If there's money to be made, he going to make it.
Yo, Jube, did you see the mod for people adding the seamless transition between space and planets?
Yeah. But have you also seen people say they don't really like it? Like it's cool the first couple of times, and then it's just like.
So I watched somebody.
The load screen is faster than the fucking travel. So you're literally just sitting there like, I could have been there already.
So like to your point, like I saw somebody do it, and it was like it still loads, but it was like it required too much work. That's the
Yeah,
feeling I remember having.
it
It's like,
requires a whole
okay,
bunch of
That's
work.
one of those instances where you see that it was a design choice. Like certain things
Yeah,
that we
because I
complain
mean,
about, it was a
I
design.
wish it was. I wish like that. Like if you're jumping to like another star system, that would be a perfect example or a perfect time to like shoot the shit with your crew. You know what I mean? Kind of like a la Mass Effect,
yeah,
like where you're traveling somewhere and you go around, you run around your ship and talk to everybody, and then it's like, okay, you sit back in the chair, it's like, oh, we're there. You know what I mean? Like you're doing something in the interim. Um, I kind of wish that was there because that would have been kind of cool. Um, just to kind of waste time in between. I mean, and you can skip a lot of like people like, oh, you have to take off, you have to do like you can literally just hop to another planet and have one load screen and you're at that planet already. You don't have to sit there through a launch sequence, a landing sequence, or any of that. It's you just got to dig around and you can get to that. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. Um, Probably the game I'm gonna play most over the next couple of years, if you will. Mortal Kombat 1 is tight. I've only done some story mode and some of the invasion mode. I haven't jumped into ranked or anything like that yet.
Sure.
Um,
Who you running? Who you running so far?
who am I running so far? Oh, Liu Kang
Oh,
so far.
Oh, you
okay.
haven't done the campaign? Just kind of
I haven't finished it, no.
okay.
I'm
Heard the
like 3
campaign is
chapters
like
in, and then I've
fantastic.
been doing the invasions. Yeah, it is. From what I played of it, it is really good.
Okay.
It's much better than 11. I wasn't a fan of 11.
Um. Oh, now it's not really a topic, but anybody want to give any TGS thought this week? I know we already kind of talked about Rebirth, all of that. Being that it's not a topic.
Yeah, I'll just say really quick. I've expressed in many spaces or podcasts that I was a little bit doubtful in how much content Rebirth would have in it to match the scale and scope of Final Fantasy VII, the original. And just based on the quick clips I've seen, again, I haven't seen a lot because I kind of get it. You know what I mean? I've seen so much of Seven before. I've seen so much of these RPGs, but I've been very, very impressed. Um,
It's
the
about
fact that the game is like 150 gigs on 2 discs. Um, I
I
just
think
I
a lot of
just
that
did
is just
not
math.
think they were going to do all that, and they didn't have to be honest with you. I think they would have sold cakes if they had done maybe 70% of what I've seen.
Yeah, they
So,
didn't. I think. I think the fact that they decided to include the open world like the original, I think that's what pushed it to do this. Um,
oh, absolutely.
but yeah, they said that the mainline story in the game is like once again about 40-45 hours, like 60 hours of side content. So
Are we in agreement that it's looking better than 16 at this point, even from a
I mean, the original's better
even
than
with
six.
a little bit that
I
we've
mean,
seen?
remake
Of course
itself,
it is.
remake is
Of course
better
it
than
is.
16.
Of course it is. Of
So
course it is. Even the battle
um,
systems better.
and if you really played Intergrade and you saw how they improved the combat um from remake to Intergrade, then I mean, like, yeah, it's like not even close. Because if they incorporate them same combat mechanics we've already seen that they have, those same combat mechanics incorporated into Rebirth, where you have like the tandem attacks and all that other stuff, it's gonna be a really fun experience. It's gonna be a really fun
Yeah.
experience, and just the variety and how you can battle. Like if you like just go on YouTube and see how different people defeat different bosses, the different strategies that they employ. Like there's like so many different ways to skin a cat, and there's so many advanced tactics that you can use to battle. It's not just a button masher. Um, there's a lot of strategy that goes into your materia builds and even what weapon you choose to use because certain weapons provide certain abilities. Um, a lot more depth than anything 16 even thought about providing, which is somewhat unfortunate. Um, but hey, still a good game, still a great story, but it's not Final Fantasy 7.
This
yeah.
shit's about to be like 4 entries long, bro. About
No,
to
it's gonna be
hurt.
3. They already said it's gonna be a trilogy. So,
Oh,
um,
so it's like 3 like the 3 discs. Wait.
Yeah, so
Oh,
basically
4 discs or maybe 5.
basically
Oh
what
yeah, total is probably 5 discs.
what
Yeah.
I heard Kitase say is that the second one's already done. They're staging part 3, but they don't want to go into full production on 3 until they get reactions from the
Feedback.
fans. Yeah, they want fan feedback from Rebirth to kind of get a crystallized idea of where they're gonna go.
Yeah, so I don't know
In
if you
the
guys
final.
remember when they first like depending on the region, the audiences react different. Like I'll never forget that fans hated Aerith's look in Japan. They just hated it, and so they adjusted it based on that. And then of course the West probably had their own criticisms. So
My
I
my
don't blame them.
belief my belief is that based on them saying that, I think it's pretty apparent that Rebirth is gonna take you up and through um the ancient temple in the Forbidden Forest. Um where if you haven't played the original, I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Um
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it's going to take you up and through that critical point in the story, and I do not think it is going to be the same um, as what we got in the original. And I think that is kind of what they're waiting for to kind of see what they're going to do with um, that character and their
Yep.
companion um, after that critical moment kind of changed uh, within the story. That's what I.
Yeah.
I do kind of hope they fix them swimming animations before this game comes out though.
Oh,
That was that was the
I'm
one
sure
thing I,
that
I
was,
was
in my
cracking up
opinion,
at
most of that's
in the
probably
trailer.
B footage from like 3 months ago. Like like they're still like at this point they're just optimizing the next 4 or 5 months. The game's already done, and then whenever they get to doing this third one, turnaround on that one should be pretty fast too because they've already built out the world map. So um maybe they have to make a couple towns or something like that, but they don't really have to build out much more um, of the game from that point. It should be a pretty smooth process to finish out the third one.
Mm.
Most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
To your point, Pharaoh, what I will say is, or for anybody who doesn't want to know, I think I'm about 75% sure they flat out said where the second game is going to end.
I think so too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they
if you
did.
don't want to
They did.
know that, stop, pretty much mute Final Fantasy VII from this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't like all. It has to be a social media blackout. Like that's your
Yeah.
only hope.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if Kobe helped me confirms now, I'm like 90% sure. Like they flat out said, like, yeah, it ends right here,
Yeah,
and
they
then
did.
the third game will be this. And so I was like, okay, we will deal with it. I would deal with it.
But
But
I
I
think
agree. I saw somebody saying that the remake was like the testing ground about playing with some systems and getting things together, and that rebirth will be truly what this game is supposed to be.
Yeah, and Integrate also showed some like real promise. I think this might sound really strange to you, but I loved Integrate because of the way Yuffie played and the uniqueness that I felt like you could use her attacks, like like switch in the range and then like kind of like a shadow step, really approach the enemy. I was like, wow, that shows they're really paying attention because like at least to me, Yuffie's regular normal attack reminds me of her limit break. One of her limit breaks from the OG. I don't remember the name of the attack, but it was like one where she would go kind of crazy and do all these slices. I was like, that's like very nostalgic. And so it's like attention to small things like that was like, oh, that they really took advantage of their time here. So,
oh yeah.
um,
The improvements, especially to aerial combat and integrate was definitely noted.
Yeah, and you will see it in the combat for what's it called? I was getting confused.
Rebirth.
Not remake, rebirth. There we go. In rebirth,
But I will say this:
you'll see the
I
changes.
did top secrets with Yuffie and Sonon. That thing was painful.
oh, I didn't do all that. You're talking about the extra stuff?
Yeah, I beat it on hard mode. I did the combat simulator.
Hmm.
Uh, Yeah, that's painful. That,
Mm.
I don't recommend unless you really want to torture yourself. It is tough. Um, Fighting Whis was tough. Did anybody fight Whis?
No, I should go back.
He's tough.
Oh, so I never played Intergrade.
Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah, well, Integrate
you
is pretty crazy.
you need to play Intergrade for jump into Rebirth.
Oh yeah, but that's my plan. So closer to Rebirth's day, I might just do a complete run through
Yeah,
from remake to Integrate and then straight into Rebirth.
I definitely
yeah.
am. I definitely. I might go Crisis Core to remake. Intergrade
Wow.
to remake.
Wow,
Goodness
gee.
gracious.
I might. That might be what December looks like for me. December, January, February.
Mm.
So, I mean, it shouldn't be that bad. I already beat Crisis Core, so it's just like New Game Plus. Kind of run through it real.
It's more of a refresher. Like, all right, let me get back to what I know, who these people are, what we're about to do.
I don't
Refire the theory machine. Well,
I don't
no,
need a
Pharaoh,
refresher.
you don't need it.
I'm about to say
Some of us need refreshers.
I beat remake probably like once or twice a year. Yeah, let's pop this back in.
Wild, but I support the dedication.
Once or twice. Probably. Yeah, just beat over summer. Yeah. So without further ado, looks like this is all we have for today. We don't have anybody else straggling in. Let's jump into these topics. Topic one for today is the Xbox document. I know we've all seen this. Pretty much, I think hundreds of documents leaked about the future of Xbox, kind of some of their merger and acquisition plans and strategies that they were looking at. And we got to see quite a bit. We got to see that Xbox, Phil Spencer believes that Nintendo doesn't know that they need Xbox. I don't know how Zero feels about that. Um, we've also seen a mid-gen refresh of the console, not necessarily a pro version, but a mid-gen refresh where you kind of get a smaller all digital console, upgraded to Wi-Fi 6 of the Series X. So we saw that. And I think some of the other key things that we saw that you're gonna be able to order your console through the Xbox Design Labs, be able to have a customized Xbox, which seems pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So we're seeing an expansion of things like that. Um, I don't think of those are the highlights for me, but that I saw. But I'm gonna give our panel a chance to talk about it. I'm not gonna kick off with Captain Xbox. Give him a little bit of second to hear what everyone else has to say, and then might rattle his brain a little bit more. The true Xbox guy. I'm actually gonna go with the Nintendo guy first, being that Phil was talking filthy in them emails about what he wanted to do with Nintendo. So Zero, what did you think about these document links?
He was talking like this company didn't laugh in their face the last time they came at them with this. Like, did you forget, sir? What's interesting, through a lot of the leaks, I understood Phil's position. First and foremost, if it's an internal email, I get it. Like, I've done it with coworkers as well, and when you're super high up level, like, it's just what you do. If I start with the Nintendo of it all, it's, to me personally, I think the one thing that Phil is missing, specifically if we're talking about the Nintendo discussion, is like their perception on how they run their business. It is absolutely, it may or may not be true that, what did he say? It's something like the future exists off their hardware. And it's like, possibly not. But the future, as it stands now, exists with stable online connection and good matchmaking, which Nintendo doesn't have. The future currently exists with. Oh, go ahead.
I think what he was saying, I think you gotta look a little deeper. I think he's saying the future that I'm building, their hardware doesn't. That's what I think he's saying.
I completely understand that. My perspective is, have you not been paying attention to how this company has been moving some would say since its inception, but most certainly from the last, 20 or so years. We're talking about a future where everybody is using like CD DVDs to make video games, and they decide to make these little mini discs with the GameCube. A future where everything everywhere is connected with Bluetooth availability. It took the Switch almost 3 years to get Bluetooth on there.
I would say Nintendo has done a very good job of getting their teeth kicked in on the hardware side and finding a way to pivot and make it a strength.
That's the key. And of course, like, it's not surprising. I think anybody would want to have Nintendo if they were able to be purchased. I don't think it's an inevitability. Anything is technically possible. So I won't say it is like a 0% chance, but I would say it's a pretty low % chance that if that were ever the case. And again, it's just focusing on how Nintendo does business, right? Like they've carved, like through getting their teeth kicked in, they've carved out their own lane.
Yeah, they carved their own niche. I can see a world, and I don't know how you would feel about this world, but I can see a world where maybe Xbox doesn't fully acquire Nintendo, but they take over the hardware portion, and as part of them taking over the hardware portion, they get the software on their platform. I can see that happen. Like where Nintendo is kind of semi-independent, but they don't have to incur any of the expenses that come with hardware.
I just don't know if those expenses are so great for them that they would have to do that, or they would want to do that.
I'm not saying that it is, but I'm saying I could see it being like
that's the path that they would go.
Like a partnership. I don't see Nintendo fully selling out, but I can see like Nintendo being like, you're way ahead in this technology space, and we're at a point where we don't want to put the R&D and catch up when it comes to all this cloud and other stuff. We'll let you handle that. And maybe you're a 30% owner of Nintendo, 40% owner of Nintendo, and you get all of our software, but in turn, you incur all the costs associated, or all the gains and losses associated with hardware. Like we're out of the hardware portion of it. So like we're full in on your cloud, we're full in on your subservice, and we still get same revenues that we always got. Maybe a slight differential, or maybe it is 100% the same revenues, because Microsoft is like a 30% owner or whatever, so maybe they still get the exact same revenue they were always getting. On their games.
I would do a 70-30 revenue split and also have Nintendo help them in the handheld. Like, hey, we can help you in the console side, but
no, that's like, what I'm saying. Xbox takes over the hardware, so they build the hand.
I don't think that they build a handheld better than Nintendo, though. Like, if we're being real.
They would lean on Nintendo's expertise. They still got people in house, but they would actually take over of the building of it. So maybe while Nintendo may have that expertise, Xbox is going to make sure that the handheld actually has like sufficient power to deliver a certain quality of game that Nintendo has for sure. It's custom.
To me, it's a hard thing to sort of parse through, just because the it's the big three, and like yes, there's some level of me that's like it should always just sort of be the big three or whoever else joins the party. But I know it happens all the time, but the actual like mechanics of taking, well, they would, in your example, Pharaoh, they really wouldn't be buying them out completely. They would have, and quite frankly, they probably never could. They would have to make some sort of partnership agreement with it. You're right. I don't know what that looks like, or what it could say. I will admit, I am torn between standard of the past with the evolution of the future. In that, like, I like these big three companies being here, and all three sort of semi doing their own things and existing in their own worlds that we can join and jump in and play as we choose, as opposed to it's sort of the Microsoft Nintendo show, and then Sony and whoever else may join. it is not
See,
the worst thing in the world, but something probably would rub me the wrong way if ever I saw Mario on Xbox.
I think
And not through modded technology, through like coming this
native.
fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, new Mario dropping on Game Pass and the new Nintendo whatever.
I think as far as a new player in space, I think that what we've seen is from Apple. I think Apple kind of showed us their new iPhone 15 Pro is that no one is going to enter the console space. Instead, what they're going to do is create a space where those console games can come to them. So I
Would
don't.
be the best way to do it.
Yeah. So I think Google tried to compete against Xbox and and um and PlayStation and Nintendo and failed. I think Apple saw that and said, there's too much that goes into one, building these game consoles, and then two, like garnering a legitimate, fan base and having the first party core titles that we, get people to buy into our system. Let's just create a platform where everyone wants to put our games like
Which
through our phones and tablets.
yeah,
So
which comfortably leads me into my next point. And the more interesting part of all the leaks that came out for me was the letter Phil's sort of discussion around the AAA publishers,
yeah,
and how they are and why they're sort of in the position that they are today, which I thought was kind of fascinating because he wasn't necessarily wrong. The AAA publishers built themselves little castles uh, that were predicated upon like these physical sales dominance, and then the world shifted, and then they did not adjust quickly enough to scramble and then make the right decisions to like put them up. It might be part of the reason why Square Enix is the way it is today, and some of the other larger entities. My only concern is that, and it's to your point, Pharaoh, what will happen is any new players now in will then once again come in and create their own little castles for X game to go here and X game to come there and X game to go there, which to me smells eerily familiar to where we are currently with the sort of TV and movie industry, where if Game Pass was the Netflix, if you will, and Netflix is the Game Pass, where we were the first, we are this service where everything and everyone can come here. Inevitably,
I don't think anybody else can play that game but Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo at the as far as it's our platform.
Yeah, it's a tough challenge to do, but I don't. I can see it happening, and like they've already started.
I can see Apple doing it, but I just don't see it being like a sales thing where like that third party publisher is gonna experience a massive win by doing it. Like it'll
I think
be
it
like
becomes a service thing. Like what they want to try to do is create their own service, and right now a lot of them have. They've wisely partnered with other services. So
you've seen it with mobile games, but you haven't seen it with like a full on AAA type. Like there's so much money that goes into it. I just don't locking it behind a platform that's kind of in its infancy of being like effective. So I mean like maybe like 10, 15 years from now, like maybe there's something else out there that kind of that. Um I mean VR was kind of establishing themselves as a platform, but then we like VR kind of start progressing. People aren't really into it as much. So yeah, it's interesting to see like where the go.
Yeah, and I think Phil's looking towards those 10 to 15 years. Like, I think the things leaked at like 2028 is when whatever new Xbox is or isn't.
That's the start of the next generation.
Yeah, but like if Phil might just like, hey, we're gonna completely pivot now. Like we're in an all digital generation. Like we don't need to like make these things. We just need to make them accessible everywhere.
I think those documents are old. I think a lot of those.
Well, they were from like 2020, right? Like they were definitely old.
I think some of those documents were pre-pandemic, personally, and I really don't see us getting a next generation to at least 2030. Like the
Yeah,
pandemic
and I don't
it
disagree.
pushed so much back. It pushed so much back. Like 2028, we're talking about like Final Fantasy Rebirth possibly launching on the PlayStation 6. That's
Yeah.
because it comes out in what 2020 next year, 2024, right?
2024, yeah.
Yeah, so you're talking about possibly like a game like Final Fantasy Trilogy. The trilogy released on 3 different generations of consoles. Like,
exactly.
I
And the
don't.
game dev cycle is definitely going to facilitate that. Like it's not possible.
So
You know what I mean? Because now we're talking about if GTA 6 has to wait, then it's not showing up until the next year's consoles. But like,
Yeah,
there's no way that this generation of consoles isn't going to have a new Grand Theft Auto.
that would be weird if GTA 6 like launched in like 2026, 2027, and a new
Right.
console dropped in 2020.
Exactly.
That would be kind of. I mean, even though we know that it would be like forward compatible.
Well, GTA 5 did that at the end of the 7th gen.
Yeah, but I just don't see that. I don't see that being the standard.
Well, I mean, think about it. You get a huge install base, and then you get the look at our next gen update, Gen 11 or whatever cross you're talking about.
I mean, I'm sure PlayStation and Xbox will love that because it'll give like GTA
Yeah.
owners an incentive to get that new hardware.
Yeah.
And for GTA, it would be an incentive because, of course, the end of a generation, you have the largest install base you're gonna have.
Yep.
Most likely. So I can see
That's
the
exactly what I
pluses
mean.
of it. I can see the pluses of it, but I just can't see them releasing it a year or 2. I can see it releasing it like 3 years. So like 2025 GTA 6. I can see that if they're planning on releasing next generation in 2028. I guess. But I don't see like 2027 GTA 6 comes out 2028 console. I don't that I don't.
It could.
It could,
It
but I
could
just don't
very
see
well
it.
happen.
It could happen, but I just doubt it.
It will be interesting because that will be one of the that's an old hat standard, particularly for GTA. And so like in whatever new generation that we are, Rockstar might be the last of the old holdouts about like, here's how we're going to operate because this is how we've been operating.
Well,
we're not changing, let alone Nintendo.
Release when we feel like.
Basically, and like y'all gonna buy it anyway.
Yeah.
Shut up and buy these shark cards. But and I'll just wrap it up. Like, I agree with you, Pharaoh. Some of this does feel a lot like musings because they weren't company-wide emails. They were talking to, it seemed to be members of Excalibur.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's executive. Yeah. And so of course, they're kind of, they're doing what they do. They talking, they shooting shit, they doing whatever. Some of them, like the Nintendo one, felt like amusing. And he's flat out said it was like. It was before the Bethesda buyout, and it was just like.
So we're talking like 2018.
Yes. Yeah, they're like, we're working on, we would like to get Bethesda WB, and then he said like WB is going to be just difficult because of the IP portion of it, and then he said basically it was like in a perfect world, snap up the big N, and maybe if they figure what we're trying to do for them,
that's how I feel.
Yeah, and
I feel the same way.
Yeah, and then like when time will tell if they can see what we're trying to sell them on. But not actively like, all right, guys. And now I think what a lot of people caught was what he said also was we would like for them to see it, but he led before that with, well, a hostile takeover would not look well. So I was like, what does that mean? You're trying to strong arm Nintendo out here? Well, hold on now, big dog. Don't do all that. So calm down. Just
they are a publicly traded company, and it is possible. You have enough money.
It is possible. So, I think Phil is wise enough to be like, this will not end well.
All right. So it would be bad as far as like it would be a PR nightmare. Who's gonna stop buying Mario? Because Xbox.
I don't know.
Because most of the people who will be outraged are not the main consumers of that product.
But I think those consumers would be upset not because like Xbox specifically bought them or owns them or whatever. I don't think it's the console rivalry of it all. The average person is not at all familiar with a high level like company takeover.
Yeah,
I
I
and
think
when
most
like
of the people that would
in
be
our, in
pissed
our
off is
ever
like gaming people, government bodies would be pissed off. But I don't like Nintendo customers. I don't think they would care much until they like actually realize what happened.
yeah, and like I think that the speed of news just travels fast, so we might hear about it more because whatever. If this is years down the line, if this were ever to happen, so whatever new social media platform is up, telling people these things that everybody's an armchair financial analyst and lawyer, and we've seen it with the CMA stuff, right? And like everybody knows exactly what they're doing, even though like, sir, like you don't work in anywhere near these fields. Like you're a surgeon, which is fine. Like I'm sure you're great at surgery. What do you know about acquisitions and mergers? But now everybody has an opinion. So, it will be interesting to see how this all shakes out for Phil. I think it's fascinating. I'm not one to necessarily praise him on the whole coming out and being honest about it's our mistakes. Yeah, bro, we know. We've been telling you this, and not me. Your consumers have been telling you this for a long time now. I'm not interested in your sorries. I want my 50 games. That's what I'm interested in. So like, I'm
Girl
tired of
has
the apologies.
There's no mercy about his 50 games.
No,
He been on this 50 games kick for like a minute.
I'm tired of the apologies. Everybody needs to see some action, bro. And it looks like they're ramping up to get it done, so that looks great. But let's get it done. And to end it all, I'm still a little concerned about the sort of Game Pass future. I'm getting real eerie Netflix today vibes, and that concerns me as a gaming perspective. As a gamer, that we're going to run headfast into an issue, and it will be too late to fix it. We will just have to run headfast and crash, and then do the best we can to build up.
I would say that the Netflix thing, the biggest thing that I would be worried about, is Xbox getting a little too big with their subscription service and like their first party content, and them just like abandoning like great series like how like Netflix abandoned like a series like Ultra Carbon. That would be like a concern of mine. But I think the way that gaming is growing and how they're putting it to every platform, I just don't know if like we just got to see because gaming is just it's still growing. So as long as they're still growing and their platform can satiate that demand because it's going to be everywhere and not locked behind one particular box, just got to see how it plays out. I guess kind of one of them things because and I think we're gonna get to the point where 5 years from now, Game Pass it is sitting around 150 million subs, no problem. I think we get to that. Then you still have people buying stuff, a la carte, the way that they used to. On top of it, um, I don't. I see gaming as growing. I don't see it going away. Especially with the writer strike and the actor strike, people are just coming more to gaming for their entertainment more than anything else. The numbers are down, so it's definitely gonna be something to buy. But that said, I think that clears Reggie's point. I am going to move on to Kofi, legendary Kofi. What are your thoughts on these Xbox document links? Anything that's stuck out to you?
I think you mentioned most of the things that pop out to me. It was kind of surprising, I guess, about the mistake in general, and seeing at least a mock-up of what 2020. That was a 2027 proposed announcement, maybe later.
I think
Um,
about the new Xbox.
yeah,
I think
the
they're supposed to
Xbox,
announce it
the
next
Wi-Fi
year.
6.
Supposed to be announced next year.
Oh, that's a mid. That's right. That's a mid-gen refresh announcement. That's not
Yeah,
a next generation. Okay, my
yeah.
bad.
Smaller
I
console. All it
did
is a
see it,
little
but I forgot.
cylinder.
That's right. Same price, but all digital,
Yeah,
with the Wi-Fi 6, and probably something else will be added that
like an
wasn't mentioned.
extra terabyte of storage.
Right. Yeah, I can't say I was surprised by anything I saw there. Um, Nothing hardware-wise surprises me about Xbox. Of course, I would love for them to always have a disc-based option that still sells. Mostly because a lot of their first-party titles that were on older generation consoles, work, right? I mean, you still have to download and you still have to have an internet connection, things like that. But it's nice for people to have that disc, and that's a nice feature. Like for example, if I just went and bought Lost Odyssey or something like that and had a Series X, I could just pop it in. As long as I have an internet connection, I could download that game. That's really cool stuff.
Yes,
Um,
I think as long as you have an achievement in that game, you can download. Like hypothetically, you could like borrow a game from a friend, like an old 60 or Xbox, as long as it has backward compatibility, earn
yeah,
it, and download it. Or you don't have to actually visit
yeah.
for the 360 for the previous generation 60 and Xbox. As long as you download it, like
But I definitely, I saw, of course, some of the things that Phil said about him being more um, reasonable about how Game Pass is growing, and I'm sure investors want to see enough success to make a decision on whether Game Pass should change or not. Because to be honest, even though Game Pass, let's say, doesn't meet the numbers that Phil wrote in this proposal, um, it would just evolve into something more unique. I don't necessarily think it's just like, oh, no more Game Pass. Um, so um, but yes, I do kind of share Reggie's thoughts about it. That would be, the 10-year mark. And like you said, Pharaoh, I mean, like if this blows up and goes past 100 million, by whenever, at some point it probably will increase. I'm very interested to see if we'll see subscriber count outside of the Xbox ecosystem be the real reason why it's successful. Because I think Phil himself said that he feels like this is a saturation point, at least with console owners and subscribers, that won't exponentially grow. Probably because there's not a whole bunch of Xboxes out there without Game Pass. I would say most active Xbox players have some level of Game Pass with their Ultimate or uh, I guess the lowest required.
they need to get to the
Um,
point where it's like PC, yeah, like PC old or also private as like
yeah,
tier.
exactly, and yeah. So I guess like thinking about it, not really surprised. I guess it's more of a realistic proposal. As you know, I'm obviously not the biggest fan of Game Pass, but I have been enjoying some of Xbox's first party titles. Like I did finish what's it called? Hi-Fi Rush, and I do have Pentiment installed. I haven't spent a lot of time with it yet. So yeah, but I guess we'll see what happens because, like Phil said, I mean, businesses have to pivot. At the end of this year, they'll get enough feedback to know what needs to change, and it won't be what's on those slides anymore all of a sudden. So, guess we'll see.
All right, and last but not least, Captain Xbox. Trying to save the best for last. What are your thoughts on these Xbox documents? Anything excited?
Oh yeah, for sure. I need that digital joint. I need that new controller ASAP. Like I'm it it was already sold to me before I even seen shit else. Um, most of my library for Xbox is digital, so it would not be hard for them to sell that to me, even if it still costs the same. I'm already planning on getting it. So I'm cool there. As far as like the Nintendo talk, I wouldn't look too much into it. Like they know damn well. I think that was more so musing,
Pie in the
in
sky.
house. Yeah. Like if we could, this would be a dope gift. But they know Nintendo is never to sell to them. It's gonna be some kind of partnership, if anything. They would have absolutely no chance. No way. Um, and just the bad PR hit that would come with that alone would literally scare them off doing something like that. Um, I mean, outside of that, I mean, it's all like it sucks that it leaked out, you know, because you're basically showing your hand to the competition. So the competition, like we know we're not getting like a stronger Series X at some point halfway through
And
this gen.
it also leaked kind of their thought process on what they are going to be doing with next gen console. They were thinking about doing a hybrid console. Um and they talked about like different chipsets they were looking at, different types they were looking at for the next hardware. So I mean, it wasn't just it was a lot that leaked
It's
out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna be another 2 SKU for them if these leaks are to be believed. Like there's gonna be another 2 Xboxes next
I
gen.
mean, but the two Xbox, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I know a
It
lot of
it does,
gamers. I know a
but
lot of gamers don't care for it, but I mean, there's a reason that cell phone
oh,
carriers do it. I mean,
but
there's a reason.
what they really need is they need the console they want to sell the most to actually be competent. You know what I
Yeah, they
mean?
need
Like
they need
at
the
least in the
minimum
power
spec.
narrative.
They need the person with the minimum spec console to not feel like they got to like the product.
Not feel like they got kicked in the teeth for buying it for sure.
question to you guys. So, well, first, do you guys believe on the percentage of consoles in the Series S versus the percentage of Series X?
The people that put
Oh,
out that 75-25 split, they have
yeah,
since retracted their finding that it's close to 50-50.
really.
Yeah.
And do you think that that would continue? Do you think it would be 50-50?
Um, I think if the casual market shifts from PlayStation to Xbox, I think it will lean. I think it'll be more 60-40 as far as like or 65-35 as far as Series S and and X ownership. I think the cheaper console will dominate the sales as more casual gamers um move over to the Xbox platform.
Yeah.
Roger.
I mean,
I think most people that own an Xbox are, typically your people that would buy high end consoles for the most part. And those Series S's are like mainly like the ones they get for their kids and stuff like that.
do you think it would be smart for them to release a new S with like more RAM in it?
It's too
Just
late. They already
even
released the new S.
I mean that they released a different colorway and more SSD
But
storage.
it's the mid gen refresh of it because they updated the hardware, the hard drive size, a couple other things. So I think that ship has sailed.
And I think no, I think another one of those is coming. I think this is just a way to get more storage. I don't think this was the mid gen for S.
I think they made their bed with that when they released that. I think that is their mid gen refresh. Made their bed, they're gonna lay in it. And I
Because
think
no, because there's code names for something else for another S that's coming. Like it's happening. I don't know. I just don't know what it is.
we shall see because then basically you have developers developing for free.
Nope, nope. You would literally phase out the SKUs. It's like if you want
You can
it,
phase it out if you want to, but the fact is that it's gonna still own the original ad. Still got to
you're right,
develop
and
for it.
if I mean if it runs like dog shit on it, that sucks. But
I don't see that happening.
I'm a little with Jube with it too, almost to the point though, like where I feel pretty confident Xbox could have got away with not even doing an S. Like the question isn't which Xbox I'm going to buy. The question is, am I going to buy an Xbox? If the answer is yes, then you're buying the one we're giving you. And that's your only option here. Because traditionally, that used to be your only option here.
yeah, I mean, because I could literally see them turning like the base S into their cloud streaming box. I could see it.
I mean, we can see,
I
but
I could I could I could I could see it, and then they have something else. It's like, hey, if you actually want to be able to play games on these things, and it's actually up to par, like I could see them dropping 2 to 4
it,
more gigs of RAM in this thing, and it no longer being an issue.
you think they can get away with it, man? More power to them.
If Sony can come out with, you see them bogus ass specs, if they can come out with some kind of pro console, like I don't, which is gonna have more RAM, whatever the fuck, in it than the base. Like, how do you explain
I
that?
think
Everybody that bought a PS5 is assed out because this damn pro console is coming. It's the same. It's the
I
same
think I
concept.
think I think the PS5 Pro is gonna be honest. I don't think a lot
It
of
it
people are
might
gonna.
it might be, but
I don't think a lot of people are gonna buy it. I think a good amount of people will buy it. I think they'll make a profit, of course, but I don't think enough will buy it to where it changes how developers make games. So I don't think
we
they're
Which
still
gonna.
we
that's
still
that.
we
But
still
to
haven't
me,
hit that point yet, though.
yeah. And but if
Yeah.
that's the case, then I revert back to, then we don't need any modular version of these consoles. Give me the thing you sold me, and that's just going to be what I'm playing until you sell me the newest one.
Yeah, that's kind of where I think we're at.
Mm.
I think had like COVID not happened, and game development not had that slowdown, then maybe you would have got to the point where they tapped out the console. But at this point, I think even if you push it to 2030, I think it'll be like 2027, 2028 where they really tap out the console. It'll be like the last 2 years.
Nothing is coming close to tapping out these consoles, and that's the
Not
problem.
yet. Not yet.
Yeah, and I think historically it's never been that way, right? Like, it's how long did it take for the Last of, and I can't say Last of Us necessarily
No,
tapped it
I
out,
mean,
but like,
not
how long did
not
it take the Last
really,
of Us to
'cause
show up?
I mean, the Last of Us tapped it. I mean, and
Yeah,
Halo 4 essentially tapped the 360, like for real,
yeah,
for real. It
which like
did.
the last gen, like the
It
last
was like the
hurrahs
last
of
two
their
years.
gens.
Yeah, it was like the last 2
Yeah,
years of the
Yeah.
console. That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
It's
it's
gonna be the
like,
same thing here.
yeah, like we're looking at Starfield, like this is awesome. And like, imagine once we get to 2028, whatever comes out is going to make Starfield look like child's play.
But the thing is, Starfield is
We
going to be a
hope.
game that
We hope.
constantly evolves because all the mods that get done in the PC community are going to make their way to console at some point. Not all of them, but the ones that like Bethesda says, hey, these are really good mods. Those are the ones that make their way to Xbox.
Well, what I also don't want is another cycle of cross-gen nonsense. I think if the next gen comes out, it's like, if you want to play this new shit, you need a new console. Your old shit will also work on this new console, but we're not feeding you no more. Like, you
Yes,
gotta
please,
come with
honestly,
it. Like,
yes.
cross-gen is what holds games back. I can't even blame the hardware. It's the fact that you still need to sell it to
Yeah.
fucking Xbox One and PS4 players.
I
I think
Cross-gen.
Cyberpunk would
We're
have been a
not.
different game.
It absolutely would have been a
Yeah.
different game if it didn't have to worry about the last gen consoles.
Cross-gen is
Yeah. It
always going to
absolutely
be a
would've been.
thing, bro, because
It shouldn't.
it
And I
shouldn't.
get it, but it shouldn't.
It shouldn't be, but the thing is that consumers not instantly go out and buy this hardware as soon as it comes out, and those, especially third party has to sell games. They don't.
I don't know. I don't know, man. When you went from like the N64 to the GameCube, you left them old games, bruh. You had to. You had no choice. You literally had no choice. Same
Yeah,
thing with the
back.
jump from Super Nintendo to the N64. Like, I want to go back to that though. We saw like monumental shifts in game design because of those things.
I don't like.
Like,
I
if
just
you're
don't.
gonna keep
I
the old
don't.
console, you gonna like Yobi just said, you're gonna be playing on cloud. If you want to keep them old ass consoles, cloud
Yeah,
is your
or some
answer for
cloud
that.
stuff. Like,
don't
I get
see-
why we had to happen this time, because like COVID ruined everything.
It did,
So,
but I just want a clean break. I don't want a game on this new hardware compromised because it has to run on something that's like 7-8 years old at this
When
point.
you're doing these
I'm over that.
$200-300 million AAA budgets, I just don't think drop that day one on the new console and expect to hoop your profit.
Pharaoh, if you build it, they will come. If it's good, it won't matter.
I mean,
Pharaoh, listen, I have watched a lot of episodes in succession. I am like highly qualified to talk about this. They're gonna come. Like, that's all I know. They're gonna come, dog. Like,
I'm not
baby. Just break it off.
I'm not saying that they won't come, but I mean, you got to have the hardware to meet the demand too. It's not just they will come. Like,
I've literally been like, bruh, let them old ass consoles go. I've been saying it all this gen too. I'm tired of seeing it.
I agree with you, but I just don't.
Even
I
Spider-Man,
don't.
like we're not gonna pretend that this new Spider-Man game couldn't run on the PS4 because it absolutely could. It could. It's possible.
Well, that's not a. That's not.
No game
That's
that's
not
out
a.
right now just can't can't not run on last gen. That's a lie.
I
If
mean,
you believe that,
so
I
some of them
mean,
would be severely compromised, but yeah, they could all run there.
it doesn't matter. It runs. If the shit can run on the Steam Deck, bro, it'll run.
Yeah, I wonder
Period.
if there's a world where you do it the reverse, right? Like, let's say the old consoles stay here, but we do it like Nintendo does it. All the new shit that's coming out, new consoles. 6 months down the line, maybe we make a PS4 version for that, like how Switch is just now getting Red Dead.
Yeah,
So it's
I can
like,
see that.
yeah, you'll get it, but it's probably about 6-7 months down the line.
And like I said, if you want to play it now, you're gonna be playing on cloud. If you don't want to be playing on cloud, you're gonna be dropping some bread.
Yeah,
So there you go.
I think cloud could be a bridge. I'm not. I've always been big on that cloud being a bridge. Like we've seen cloud be a bridge on the Xbox One already. Like you being able to play Flight Simulator on cloud, not being able to play it like natively on Xbox. Um, that's definitely an option. But I just think a lot of developers are not willing to just leave a large install base behind. That's what I'm saying. I don't.
But what's the difference between leaving them day one, and giving them a shitty version of this game?
They buy
There's
it.
really no. You're still fucking them though. You're still fucking them.
They don't care about that.
So
They're scared you buy it.
nah, but like if people wisen up, they won't be buying it. I'd rather just have that clean break. I miss those clean breaks. Like knowing that everything I own is going to work on the next joint is enough for me. That's enough for me to make that next purchase. I'm getting all the new shit and my old shit still works. I'm just changing boxes. We're just moving forward.
I agree with you. I mean, because back in the day we had larger leaps when new hardware came out. We had much larger leaps. Like the Super Nintendo to the N64 was a monumental leap. PlayStation to PlayStation 2 was a monument. And when you popped in that Ocarina of Time cartridge for the first time, or you popped in what was it, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater for the first time, and you pop that in, it was a totally brand new experience that something that you would never experience before. We don't necessarily get that nowadays. Um, but I can definitely, I those experiences were some of the most enjoyable experiences in my gaming history. Of when you finally got that new console transition to PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3, transition from Super Nintendo to N64, like those are some big jumps. Xbox 360. It was great times. It really was. So
Dang.
Sega Genesis and Sega Dreamcast. Like I skipped Sega Saturn, so.
That admittedly, I do have to agree with you on that. Today we talk about this. What's the next game that's gonna make it feel next gen? Like the moment you played Mario 64, which launched with the N64, you knew you were in the next gen.
Yeah, it was a
When Ocarina of Time. Yeah, when Ocarina of Time released the year after the 64 release, you were in next gen. We will be talking about what is the true next gen game of the PS5 360 generation, probably until about 2026, 2027.
And
because right now we haven't
we
really seen
literally have not seen anything that's pushing the console and actually like making it like, oh, this is the leap I was waiting for over last. And we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so
unless you're on PC, we have not seen it yet. So that's just kind of where we're at.
That is true.
In the console space, I'm still seeing Xbox One and PS4 games. That's the reality of the situation.
They just run way smoother.
Gotham Knights, that is an Xbox One PS4 game to me. It just is. Regardless of how they market it.
PS4 game that does not run smooth.
It did. Exactly.
It did not run smooth. At all. Yeah, but I think the toughest part was that we're just not getting we're not getting the graphical leap. I think that's the biggest thing. We're not getting the graphical leap
It shouldn't be
And
about that though. It should be about physics and AI at this point. I want
Big on
better
AI.
better gameplay. Graphics have peaked. Now is the time
I
to
don't think graphics have peaked, but I just think it's gonna
it's
take
diminishing returns. It
it's
takes way too much to try to get over this hump. Like
I think
you're
it's
not gonna
taking
sell a console for $2,000 fucking to be
yeah.
able to push out what a 4090 can. It's just not gonna happen.
It's gonna
We're at the
graphic
point where
needs
it's just
now
diminishing
take
returns.
3 generations. My it takes about 2 to 3 generations before you really graphical on a console.
Yeah. What we need things is like the Nemesis system or whatever its
Yeah.
evolution is
Yep.
going to be.
Yep.
That's what we need. And
Gameplay.
not single to one game, but across the industry. Like all AI reacts to what your character is doing individually, effectively.
At all
Like,
times.
imagine Starfield with like this Nemesis system where like someone can hunt you down in your spaceship because you offended them 40 hours ago. And
Yeah.
they just managed to find you. Like that would be fascinating. That's fun.
Yeah. And I think that technology will get there faster because I think that's where they'll leverage cloud computing along with upping the hardware and the console next generation. But yeah, those generation leaps, we don't really feel them like how we um
Yeah, and the dev times are just massive, right? They just get bigger and bigger. So if we want to see a great new IP launch for the next gen, like 10th gen systems, they need to start conceptualizing and developing now and adding all the stuff, right? Oh, this has
Yeah.
got ray tracing and all the voice acting and all the motion capture and original level design. And
Well, you
stuff.
can save the voice acting
now
closer to the end of development. You don't have to
True,
do
that's
it
true.
necessarily.
I will give PlayStation credit for the closest that we've gotten to a next gen experience came from PlayStation with that Astrobot tech demo. Not saying it was the best game
Astrobot was
ever,
fun.
but
You talking about the VR one or?
No, just the one that came prepackaged.
Yeah, the
Oh
pre-demo.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the closest like a next gen experience, like where you really got to see everything that the technology could provide you. I think that was like your first taste of like that felt more next gen any particular game. Like I played a couple games on PlayStation 5 with the haptic feedback, and it just doesn't feel as impressive as that Astronaut. Nothing has like caught up.
No, Astrobot is probably the gold standard
Yeah,
amongst
I
them
agree.
all. But my only issue with Astrobot is that even playing it, it gave me immediate vibes of 1-2 Switch, where clearly this game was designed purely to show off what this thing can do.
Yeah.
But that's to me, that's still not even taking it to the next level. As you said, it's a tech demo.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, look at this new stuff. But like to really implement it, you got to start putting it in places that aren't just wiggling around a controller or blowing into controllers a la original Astrobot before they changed it.
Yeah. So like if you ask me, the game that should have really felt next gen from PlayStation, like really utilizing all those hardware features, the first game should have been The Last of Us remake. It didn't have much outside of uh, when it came to making. So that should have been a game where they went really hard on like really maximizing all of it. If there were to be any game that really did it, I think The Last of Us been one. Yeah, so I think we maxed out this the Xbox document topic. We're definitely gonna spin back around to it because there were some PlayStation documents that leaked that we're gonna talk about. But move on to topic 2. We're not spinning around back to it. We're diving right back into. Forgot how I structured these topics. Well, within these documents that I don't know if you guys watched the video that I dropped in the chat because I couldn't find the document myself.
I watched it.
But basically, there was a meeting between Jim Ryan and the investors at Fidelity, which is an investment brokerage. And basically, he was going over his monetization strategy with their with those investors. Some of the key takeaways was that he is really looking to take the IPs that PlayStation gamers have come to love, and he plans to monetize the hell out of you with live service and microtransactions. So a lot of the games that we love might see God of War, a new version of it with tons of microtransactions. Horizon, Faction, and um, he plans on using Bungie's strategy with Destiny's monetization and putting it basically in every other game that every live service game that PlayStation is making. 10 live service games that they're making, they're pretty much going to use Destiny's monetization strategy, which has gotten really bad over the years. Um, Especially like over like the past 2 3 years, it's gotten pretty bad. Um, and that's pretty much what he's planning on going with. And basically, what he communicated to these investors, it was basically a closed door meeting, so it wasn't like he had to be cognizant of what he was saying, like the public. Was that it's happening basically hella high water, and that they hope that it's done responsibly, but it's gonna happen regardless. Um, so that was kind of like the synopsis of what was said. I know that there's people out on the Twitterverse who have like dropped specific quote um of what came from that transcript. So if you want to go and look for it there, I know like Zuby Tech is one of them. Feel free to do that. But with that being said, I'm going to dive into the topic. Zero said that he listened to it, so I am going to go to him first. Zero, what did you think after seeing and hearing those documents that were in Destin's video? I'm gonna look for the video, just type in like Destin Perry, Tim Ryan, it'll pop up.
Yeah. So I did watch the video. And some good points were made. Some I don't think accurately described how certain situations are. Um, Particularly when it coming to the Destiny 2 situation. Um, but the meat and potatoes of it all is that it does seem as though they are trying to Sony and Jim Ryan is going full steam ahead on like, we are going to be charging you microtransactions. We are going to be, recouping costs any way we can and pushing that whatever our development costs are, pushing some of that onto the consumer, which nobody really likes. However, the gaming industry has kind of just reluctantly accepted it. So it is not necessarily the most inflammatory thing I can hear Jim Ryan say, because he is only reiterating what, quite frankly, the current state of the industry is.
Yeah.
Sony is just late to the game. So, they're trying to get on this train and get it done. Now, of course, I'm not a huge fan of it, but like, I still think that microtransactions are a bit of a nuanced conversation. Where some of them are outright, like in multiverses, I kind of hated them a lot because it didn't feel like it didn't feel kind. There's a way, I think, to make you spend money while feeling kind.
Yeah.
Multiverses didn't really have that. Personally, I think Apex does have that. You can theoretically never spend a dime in that game and eventually get a battle pass. And so long as you keep playing effectively, you will never have to buy another battle pass again.
Now,
Without, go ahead.
I was gonna say, based on what you read, and what he kind of well, but he also had doc. Um, did it seem to you? Because it seemed to me that being that he was playing catch up, that it sounded like they planned on being a little too aggressive in their monetization strategy of live.
Absolutely. They
Because
are going to swing the chain really hard in the other direction.
Because like it was just the fact that he kept saying that we hope we do it in a responsible manner. Not that
Right.
we plan to do it in a responsible manner. It's like we're going to do it and we hope it's responsible, but no guarantee.
Yeah. And to be fair, I think I don't think anybody has a good answer on what's a responsible manner for microtransactions. Quite
Right.
frankly, we and what was it? Overwatch is the perfect example. They basically switched over to microtransactions, and most of the Overwatch community was like, "Huh, kind of wish we had loot boxes back." Because where once there was a random chance you could get something, now there is a 0% chance without spending money. And imagine us asking for loot boxes back, which are effectively gambling for young kids, which we should not be promoting, just as a general stated being. To I sure wish we had these things back versus what we have. So I agree, and I think that a lot of their services are going to falter and fail because of their monetization strategies. What I don't necessarily agree with, Bungie's monetization strategy just seems to work for Bungie, and specifically just seems to work for Halo. It has a real big issue with its monetization policies and practices. And Destin speaks about the Aftercross video, which came out a couple months ago, where he talked about the state of Destiny 2 and like where microtransactions are and how they really affect the game. But Destiny's such a unique game, first of all, and just in its own unique position, that I don't know, one, if their monetization strategies can transfer over to other games. So say we take God of War, you can only do so much with God of War versus what you can charge people for in Destiny. So an easy part is, if I buy the new season of Destiny, gotta buy the expansion, that's Witch Queen. Then I probably gotta buy a season pass, which is another money. And then usually within those season passes, there are these things called dungeons. In the past, the dungeons came when you bought the season pass. No longer. Now you have to spend an additional money to buy a dungeon key to get that. And this is on top of spending silver for emotes, or spending silver for custom vehicles, colors, all this other type of stuff. So I completely understand nobody wants that in the majority of their games, and that should not be there. I just don't know if that can even make it to a majority of those games, because I don't even think a majority of those games are going to be as in depth as Destiny is.
Yeah, so I'm gonna piggyback off of you, and the thing that concerns me most with the leaning in Bungie, monetization strategy, is that we haven't seen, like, it's not like we've seen Bungie multiple, seen them do it with Destiny. We didn't see them do it with Halo. Um, so though they've cultivated big franchises, we haven't seen their monetization strategy work across multiple games. So I just don't, it's like, you know, um, it's like using Fortnite strategy across. Like, has Epic been able to do that?
That's the key, and really nobody's been able to do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like,
yeah, the only thing that came out of Fortnite for the most part was the battle pass.
So that's a really good point, Pharaoh. And like, well, I don't want to take away your thoughts. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, jump in.
Like, because so I watched half of Destin's video. I don't know if he had talked a little bit more about Destiny in the second half. But I guess like my biggest takeaway for Sony is they are looking for at least, and maybe you disagree with me, Pharaoh, but what you're saying, I agree with it, because Fortnite is like the spine of all Epic has built, right? They have their store now. They have a bunch of other games, I'm sure. They're teaching devs. They've got investors, right, from a bunch of other large companies like Tencent. And if Sony, it's almost like when you're a hip hop artist, you just need one album. You just need one album, and then everything else is a lot easier. And if Sony can get one of their IPs, let's say it's Wipeout, and it becomes like this free to play, and I would personally not like that. But that franchise can then start a whole wave of what will be more attempts at other live service games, but they probably won't be as successful, right? They're not going to all be like a Genshin Impact as a hit, and then what's it called, Honghai Star Rail, which is a hit. I mean, that's just so rare, right? Back to back service hits. And as long as they can get that, like, now here's the thing: at the end of the PS3 gen, when they weren't necessarily doing free to play, where they were doing multiplayer, there was a lot of failures, right? There was a lot of IPs like Starhawk, and they tried to bring back Twisted Metal, and none of those things stuck around or were like having gamers begging for the next one. So I think it speaks to them, listening to Bungie a lot, because most of the veterans at PlayStation that were doing those multiplayer games are either gone or focused on something else. So, they're going to have to see how much effort it takes to get at least one game that it's not going to hit Genshin numbers, right? But maybe it's like, okay, this is a respectable new multiplayer franchise that, or existing IP that has now become free to play, and prove the model will work one time out of 10 attempts, or something like this.
Like, I understand that's best, but I feel like what PlayStation is trying to live service side, I'm wary of Bungie's strategy. I understand Bungie is successful at Destiny, but I feel like they would have had they would have been better off with with reaching out to or hiring people from like EA, Ubisoft, and Activision, companies who have multiple live service games of varying levels of success, but they do have multiple live service that all generate lots of revenue. So I versus a Epic or a Bungie who have one game and they haven't proven that what they've done can be sustained across multiple different of titles and genres. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're planning on making a Horizon MMO with a Destiny monetization strategy, I don't know how that works. You know what I'm saying? But if you reach out to
Right.
Square Enix, who has some MMORPG and some mobile games and just different types of products that they have live service monetized, that makes more sense.
And I agree with that. However, I think it's part and parcel. Like, I think clearly Bungie was bought because of they're a good developer.
They are a good developer.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. They're a good developer, and they've created one of the greatest first-person shooters of all time. And frankly, one of the best, whatever Destiny is, of all time as well. Like it or love it, there isn't many things like Destiny, or even trying to attempt what this thing is doing. So if nothing else, if you got them just to actually get the gunplay, you can do pretty well. Like, a Killzone with the Destiny gunplay, I think, could do numbers. But I think, part of Destiny is just having someone who also just understands multiplayer. Because Sony really doesn't have that either.
Yeah, reading into his comments, didn't seem like they were gonna go that to the catalog. I think it seems like right now, of the 10 live service games, most of them are at the forefront of the games like that have been in our eye the past like 5
Yeah, and like, I think Kofi's completely right. It feels like a more of a throw everything at the wall and see what sticks situation.
Yeah.
Because like, maybe it's Foam Stars, which is coming out soon,
or maybe
game,
it's that's not their first party.
Oh, I don't know why I thought that was theirs. So maybe it's Factions. It won't be, because Factions are trash. Whatever. Maybe it's Factions, or maybe it's Marathon, or maybe it's any other handful of things that they might be putting out. I think it just all will depend on, because Kobe's right. It's really hard to judge the success of these things, because like, if you just ask me on paper, would Nintendo be on the third Splatoon? Absolutely not. Like it just wouldn't be. It would not have lasted as long as Super Smash Brothers, and yet here we are.
I'm
So
still
like,
wary.
you know,
I like forget Sony first party live service. I'm still worried about Marathon.
I have no particular opinions on Marathon, just because I haven't played the original since it was an Apple game,
Yeah. So
so I like have no sense of it outside. I'm sure the gunplay will be good.
I need like basically I need Epic and Bungie to show me that they can do it twice. Not saying it has to be as successful. You gotta do it. That's all I'm. So it worries me very um that that Bungie is going to a bunch of seasoned developers telling them how it worries the hell out of me.
I mean, only for me, only partially. Like to me, it's Bungie going to a bunch of people who want to do the thing that they're really good at. Like they didn't go to Naughty Dog to fix factions. They were brought on to fix factions. Because guess what? Naughty Dog doesn't know what the hell they're doing with factions. And and I stand by this, and I've been very clear about this since day one factions was announced. You know, listen, factions isn't even better than the Uncharted multiplayer.
So,
So
but here's my like we've seen other companies live, right? How many companies when they have a live service game that's like, do they have like another department in there? Like I don't see people from EA Sports telling people how to make Apex Legends better. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't see like I just don't you know I don't see a lot of that. So like that concerns me. Like I don't see Mojang telling Rare how to do Sea of Thieves when Sea of Thieves was struggling. I just
I'm very curious though on it. It sounds like the multiplayer game that they're working on is still coming out, but maybe the concern was content wasn't enough.
yeah, I think Faction still comes out. I don't think that's like a dead game. Um, Knights of the Old Republic might be that's not really a game you can monetize like that. They have a development. That one might. I don't think Faction. Um,
no,
TV show did too well. Um, they're about to do another season of that. The remake sold really well. I can't see abandoning that franchise. So I think
I agree. I mean, it seems as if anything, like that was Bungie's first task. Like, please help us fix factions.
I don't think Factions was
And
broken. Like based on what we know,
no,
it
factions
was
was broken. If you want this game to survive, that's the vibe
yeah.
I got from it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
Like Bungie was like, yeah, this game is fun, but it ain't it. So scratch it.
like it won't survive. And like, why am I? Because then it begs the question: why did we wait so long if this game will be dead within a year?
Yeah.
Like this isn't like Halo where its bread and butter is the shooter to begin with, and everybody has great fond memories of the legacy of multiplayer. Factions is its own
Well,
little thing. They gotta get it right in order
I
to make
got
it worthwhile to me.
I wanna be fair. I wanna be fair to Naughty Dog though, because when Destiny launched, it wasn't all that hot.
Yeah, but they had already made Halo since then.
No, I'm talking about Destiny 2. Like they already made
But I
Destiny, and
mean, like,
Destiny was a hit. But
but I mean,
Destiny
like,
2 didn't
they
launch hot.
they they faltered. Absolutely, Destiny 1 faltered, but like the strength of Destiny is largely based on the strength of these are the guys who made Halo. And as we've seen with 343, they could never replicate the success of the guys who originally made Halo.
But I'm just saying, if Bungie can't even launch their game day one, you know, as quote unquote like this sustainable content type thing, and then it evolves into it, and I think Naughty Dog should be extended that same grace at all. I just I don't like developers from yonder way coming over and stepping on other developers. So I'm not a fan of it. I've never been a fan of it. Let me see if I can my volume low. Is that better? So really not a fan at all. I would like naughty back. That's probably worse or better. You see, turn my
You were cutting out a bit.
Is that better?
That's
That sound
loud.
louder?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Cool. But yeah, I would like to see Naughty Dog get the grace to make the game that they want to make without Bungie completely stepping on their toes and basically being their boss in this situation. I don't necessarily think that's fair to them. As Sony's premier studio.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think it might be a content related thing, but it could be design as well.
Maybe if it's been delayed for this long, I don't want to hear about lack of content in your game.
Bro,
If
that's
you're
a
gonna
valid.
make a live service game,
Yeah,
you got to be planning at least 2 years ahead with content. That way, while that content's out, you have 2 years to get some new shit out.
I mean, I just
You feel me?
I just look at
Like-
at Xbox. They have a bunch of different live service games, and I just don't see developers
It
from
took
other. I
Sea
don't
of
see.
Thieves 5 years to get to where it is now. That's a long time, and not everybody was willing to stick around
But
for that.
my point is, I just don't see a lot of developers internal to Xbox telling other studios how to make their live service game. I don't.
Live service games do y'all really have?
I mean,
like you
said, like
Sea of Thieves,
format
they
of
have
form.
Grounded, they have Minecraft is essentially a live service game.
Let's count Minecraft out since that was done before Microsoft bought them.
It was done, but it was on steroids.
Microsoft,
it
but
went on
we
steroids
understand the
and
base of it
exploded.
No, if we're not gonna do if we're not gonna count Destiny 1 and 2 as being benefits to what Bungie can do, let's leave Mojang and them on the other side of the table because they already had a self-sustaining product.
No, I'm not taking anything away from
this going.
I'm not taking anything away from
all
Bungie.
I'm saying is I'm not going to give that to Microsoft because they had a self-sustaining project that they enhanced. Absolutely.
What I'm saying is that even though Mojang is successful, they didn't go to Rare, while they're at the height of their success and say this is how you should do Sea of Thieves. That's what I'm saying. I'm not giving anyone. I'm not giving them credit. I'm just saying they have this internal studio that has just as much, expertise as a Destiny and live service, and they're not stepping on their toes. It's not about necessarily giving them credit. It's just saying that they have this extremely successful studio in house that could, probably, help or tell, someone how they should do something, but they don't.
I'm not sold. Not sold on that. Because who's helping Rare with Perfect Dark?
Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal.
Isn't Rare solid enough to do it on their own?
Rare isn't doing Perfect Dark. It's the Initiative.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a brand new studio. So I mean, they haven't proved they haven't.
I mean, but they're all from different. It's not like a bunch of brand new people. Is it?
It's not, but
But if you look at the industry that have been around,
if you look at the mission statement of the initiative, it is to partner with third-party developers to make high-end AAA titles. It's like in their mission statement. So I think that's kind of going to be like what they do. Like they're going to have these high-end developers in-house, but they're going to, like, hey, we like how this person builds a game. We're going to partner with them to make this or make that. That's kind of seems what the mission statement of the initiative is. So even after they're done with this title, their next game, they will partner with another third-party developer to build a game. That's what it seems like they're doing. So, but I just don't. I don't like the idea of developers from other teams stepping on other developers' toes. I've been saying that, since the whole factions thing came out. Like, why is this even a thing? Like, I don't think Insomniac should go and tell someone else how to make a game either. Like, even though Insomniac is pumping out, like, quality work, I think Ben's studio, if they want to make a game, shouldn't be looking over their shoulder because Insomniac is telling them that they should do this or do that. But that's just me. But was Kofi the one making his points? I'm sorry, we kind of went on a tangent.
I think I was, but I don't even remember. I think I finished. No, I don't blame you.
Well, if that's the case, Captain Xbox, anything you want to say to drag Jim through the mud?
I hope next year is better first party wise for them.
I hope we get some release dates for like Concord.
They dropped one game. They dropped one game this year and get absolutely no shit for it.
That's
crazy. That's wild.
I am concerned. Only thing I'm concerned with is that I hope they don't MTX.
They literally
Wolverine.
had Xbox's 2022 year this year, and ain't nobody talking about it.
Well, the difference is
all they have is Spider-Man this year, bro. They have not dropped no first party nothing.
Spider-Man and the annualized release of MLB The Show.
But that's multi-plat now. Let's call that what it is.
It's still a first party.
Okay.
Yeah, it still counts as first party.
Let's not.
Okay, that's two. So they are again on par with 2022 Xbox, who was lambasted for their lack of fucking first party games, and they only dropped like two.
Yeah, because I mean,
I thought
Xbox
they dropped
dropped like two.
I thought they dropped none in 2020.
They dropped Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo.
They dropped two.
Okay.
It was a 16-month drought between 2021. Right? Isn't that what it was? That was part of Phil's thing. He was like, we went basically 16 months between first party releases.
Without something releasing on Xbox. I mean, that's not necessarily true because they dropped Pentiment like the month after E3. I think something like that. They dropped. Yep. They just didn't drop any AAA games.
It just wasn't huge. Yeah.
They didn't drop AAA, but they dropped games in 2022. They just none of them were.
But
AAA.
It's the same shit. It's cool. It's cool for one. So, like I said, I hope their first party looks better next year.
Well, Sony gets away with it because they do a good job of supplementing where they lack with third party exclusives.
Yeah. Right. Started the gen strong. It's different for PS to start gen so strong.
Yeah. I don't think either one started off necessarily bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not dissing Xbox. I'm specifically comparing PlayStation to itself.
Yeah. I mean, PlayStation 5 launch was way better than PS4 launch.
Right. And better than PS3 launch.
Oh, no, absolutely. It was better than PS3 launch also.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is probably Sony's best launch, like, ever.
Since PS2.
Yeah. So, they did really well. But yeah, Jube, any thoughts on Sony's monetization strategy going forward? These 10 live service titles?
I hope it pans out for them. Like I said, if they don't have content, it's doomed.
Yeah, they do need one live. They do need at least one live service.
If it comes out like how Sea of Thieves came out, it's doomed. Nobody's gonna care.
Right.
Now I do have a question for the.
That's what I mean too.
I know all of us play PlayStation games. Is there any particular existing prominent franchise, not legacy franchise, like a franchise that they've made like a game in basically like the last like 7 to 10 years that you see being like one of those type of live service games that they're expecting to come out of that 10?
No, I think they need to go 20 years back and do something like. I mean, I would hate it, but like
they need SOCOM, bro.
Yeah, I think SOCOM with good content and experienced players in the third-person space, it could be a cool game. I don't know if it's going to be gangbusters, but it could be a cool game.
I think SOCOM.
I think the top three.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Your top three.
Yeah. I was my top three. Probably Killzone, Resistance, and then probably SOCOM.
Yep. Yep, that's a very good top 3.
And I hate what I hate to say that is though because I've only I think Sony needs a shooter. They need one.
They
They
do.
need one good like just competitive multiplayer shooter.
They do.
What comes after that I think might be different. I'm slowly starting to
their problem with the shooter though is they can't drop it anywhere near Call of Duty because
and then you got to work around your Call of Duty
and I will tell you why they can.
I don't think so. We've seen it. Titanfall 2, amazing fucking game, came out right after Battlefield, and fucking Call of Duty got destroyed because nobody.
Battlefield started to die from the strength of Call of Duty.
The reason,
I don't get why people don't use the summer.
Yeah,
all right, so
look at Remnant 2. Remnant 2 could have gotten crushed. It was originally scheduled for September. It came out in July and sold 1 million copies in 4 days. For them, that was big. It's like another big like publisher. They could take advantage of that too.
They can drop a shooter around Call of Duty time simply because there is enough of a sentiment of PlayStation gamers who want to move away from Activision titles because of this acquisition. Just there will be enough people that just simply because Xbox owns them now that they just are like, you know what? Let me just give this a shot because I don't want my money going in the Xbox's pocket, and that will be enough to push them over the edge. And they have the reviewer community in their pockets a little bit, to where those reviews.
I don't think that's going to be enough.
I think it'll be enough. I think it'll be
just like the casual Xbox, the PlayStation fan is just going to be like, I still would just like to play Call of Duty. It is not going to be like because in spite of what Xbox did.
I think it'll be enough that if they dropped it in the holiday window, especially with some bundles, they will push it over 10 million units in the holiday season.
Wow,
I highly doubt that.
I don't agree.
Absolutely no.
Call of Duty too big, bro. Call of Duty too big, bro. There's no way something new or even legacy like that would cannibalize sales, and they know that. That's why they don't release games around.
I'm not saying it would hurt Call of Duty sales. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that enough people would buy it. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I think it's smart for most people just avoid Call of Duty in general. From purchasing standpoint.
I think it is smart to avoid them, but I'm saying that I think it is a possible option just because people kind of want to find a secondary option, and people aren't running the Battlefield. Like nobody's running over the Battlefield, nobody's running to like Apex or something else to fix their Call of Duty itch. They need that type of game, like a SOCOM, another military game to satisfy that itch. And I'm saying that, if they release it, with the right type of trailer and maybe drop a demo, I think they can have some success, even if they dropped it in that holiday window. They drop it in October, Call of Duty drops in November. I can see them getting away with it.
I don't know. They'd have to drop that bitch in July, bro. That's their only chance. Because I saw that Helsing skin. They got me. They got me. I don't even play Call of Duty like that. They got me. It's getting bought. They got me.
All right.
Yeah, there's so many.
You might not have to buy it.
That skin? I don't know.
No, I'm saying
I do the same shit in Fortnite, bro. Every time
you might not have to buy that Call of Duty. I'm just saying.
I mean, maybe not, but I'm gonna be spending money on them skins. Fortnite gets me every time. I don't be playing like that, but as soon as I see a skin that I want, it's a wrap.
That new Deku drop. Need that?
I got it. As soon as it dropped, I got it. I got the All Might joint too. I was like, I wasn't playing, and then I didn't play the fucking game. I played 2 matches. And was like, okay, cool. I'm waiting for the next skin. Thanks.
Jim doesn't sound too interested in being in that Call of Duty marketing deal anymore once that transaction clears. So I mean, there's some possibilities. That's all I'm saying. It's a possibility it could be in Game Pass if
they got to pivot off. And
I agree.
Shooter, but what else outside of a shooter? Doing live service here. What else can you do?
Yeah, you're gonna need to have something like, I don't know, a third-person action type of game, like Genshin, or how Fortnite has kind of evolved. Like whenever I see the new expansion for Fortnite, I'm like, God, I hate this game, but this game really do change from season to season, which is really cool to see.
Horizon MMO.
I'm all about it. Personally.
Sure. Hell, What's that game? Is it Ubisoft's like Skull and Crossbones, the pirate game?
Trash. It's stop talking
Yeah,
about that.
no, I
trash
mean,
thing,
like,
bro.
Wait, it's
like,
trash. It's trash.
Oh yeah, I heard it's absolute trash.
Oh
It's
my gosh,
absolute-
how is that
bro,
possible?
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
How you let
I mean-
how you let an unfinished pirate game beat you before you even get out the gate, bro?
It's
I was
like
saying,
it's
Sony
delayed
could
like
start-
6 times.
Sony could start today and finish a pirate game before Skull and Bones is completely.
And it
I
would
mean,
still
and
be
then,
better. It would still
Yeah,
be
it
better.
would still
Oh
be better
my
than Skull and
god,
Bones.
You can
so
do a
crazy.
you can do a faction.
No, because you can't
factions
like
could be
leave the
MMO.
ship, bro. Like all that shit is menus. Like when you like get by land in that game, you can't leave the shit. That's like what the
Wait,
fuck is that?
So that game actually came out? I thought it was delayed again.
No, they were doing like gameplay shit, and it's like you
Yeah.
can't leave the ship. You
Oh.
Yeah,
get
it
like
becomes playable like after years of just nothing.
Oh,
so the most you can do is you can sail your ship around and do ship combat. As soon as you get like anywhere close to land, it's menus and you like gathering resources and shit. Like that game is trash.
that's crazy.
It's literally Settlers of Catan as soon as you get by land.
Oh
That's
my
what
God.
we talking.
So you could do factions could be a like an MMO type game.
That's what I think Bungie is helping them with. I think they're building out this world a bit more than just this weird like run and gun shooting aspect, because like they can do that, and we know that The Last of Us has a pretty expansive world of who's and fireflies and bad guys and all this other type of people. I think that's what Bungie's really doing. Like,
Are there
like,
is there PvE? I haven't played. I didn't play factions in the original.
it was-
there's no PvE in it, right?
no, I'm pretty sure it was all PvP.
I could see them including elements of PvE just because of the world that they're in.
Yeah,
Right.
Like imagine you're in like a firefight with somebody, and then like some big ass fucking infected comes out, and then you gotta prioritize. Like, do I gotta like, do I want to try to pop this thing, or do I still want to start shooting at the humans? Either way, like you got two threats to deal with now. I can see some shit like that going on.
I suspect it might start to look more like the Division by the end of
Yeah.
all of this.
Yeah. So welcome Nappy. A little late to the party, but hey,
Is he in
always
here?
good.
I don't see him.
I see him.
Okay,
Better
he's
late
not
than
in
never.
the tiles.
He ain't.
Okay,
he ain't.
never
Yes, he is. He
He's on my
popped up.
tile.
He there.
Oh, I guess I got lag.
Uh,
You're gonna have to switch to that focus view now.
don't sound like he's 100% up yet, but
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm 100% up. I went to sleep and I didn't wake up when the alarm was set. I was up till like 2 a.m. almost
It's all good.
Starfield.
So we're on topic 2, so we're halfway through the show. Do you have any thoughts on? I don't know if you saw Sony Jim Ryan's memo about his monetization strategy with the live service games.
No, I have not. Can you give me a brief? The only thing I heard about Sony recently was that they're increasing their prices, and also the urgent news today that Sony possibly got hacked and they didn't pay the ransom. So it's a possibility that your credit cards may be stolen again.
Well,
God damn it!
I'll
I
spin you up.
never paid a ransom.
I'll spin you up a little bit, but I guess we'll save you for the next topic because we're pretty much at the end of this one.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
But basically, Jim Ryan, he had a meeting with Fidelity investors, and he was talking about how they plan to aggressively like use these live service games to basically like make up the income gap, like to make the Bungie acquisition worth more than the ABK acquisition. So basically they plan on like MTXing people to death in those 10 live service games. And they hope to do it responsibly, but it's no guarantees. So that was basically,
I'm gonna keep it
that was
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Honestly, one, live service games has been going downhill lately, thank God, because it's like put out the game when they promise to forever put out content. If people are not playing the game and constantly playing the microtransactions, we already know it's going to die. We already had a bunch of live service games die. Heck, some of them I even paid for like $30 or $40. Then all of a sudden the servers end up shutting down within less than a year.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is that you put the game down for like a week. It's like you missed everything. That's what it feels like.
You have to grab an audience for a live service game to work, and if you don't grab our audience within the first couple of months, you're pretty much screwed.
And you gotta
that
play
I do know of.
And as a gamer, you gotta play the game like damn near every week,
like every day. Like it's
At
like I
least
said.
three- at
Like
least
I mean,
three
don't get me
times a
wrong.
week.
Live,
It's commitment.
yeah, like live service games can be fun. I mean, we got Final Fantasy 14, got Warframe. You have Destiny players. Like you have another one trying to jump into the thing with First Descent. They're trying to jump into the live service thing, and a lot of people are like, "Who's going to play this game?"
It's okay. It's moderately okay at the moment. That's the best I can give it.
They need to release that thing in July.
Yeah.
Stop trying to release that around like Grand Blue Fantasy Live Relink. Like, don't do that. Relink gonna smash you.
So just just do it in the summer when nobody got nothing to play. Like, I guess I'll just play this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and it's just like because live service games, the biggest thing is they need your time. They like that's like the number one thing that they're trying to go after. And I already know for us adults, like we all have responsibilities. We know we don't have much time to be invested into a live service game. Like that's the only reason why I can probably still play Warframe is because I was playing that like in my pre-adult era. So I already have so much time invested into there. I feel fine. And plus, they do a pretty decent job of keeping new players, giving new players like a decent amount of gear to make sure they're not like underpowered, but at the same time not making veterans feel like they're overpowered. If that makes sense. So
yeah.
But yeah, using but overall going back to Sony trying to say use live service games, I'm curious. I'm not too excited about them focusing on live service games because of I mean, what we had Knockout, the dodgeball game, server shut down. You had the Looney Tunes server game that was supposed to be a live service game that shut down. Oh my god, man! What was that one game made by?
Multiverses has popped back up on the PS5 store apparently.
Okay, well, let's see, man. I mean, everyone forgot about it.
I mean, it's crazy to me.
Rumbleverse.
For a company that's so committed to live service now, it's amazing to me how quick they abandoned Destruction All Stars.
They did. See, that's the thing. It's like live service games is like if there's not enough players playing it,
right?
The servers will shut down, and
once
we
that
have
threshold is crossed, it's like, well,
it's gone.
Yeah, we have seen them in the recent past that they will shut down a live service game if it's not making money. They're not even trying anymore.
Yeah,
and Destruction All Stars was different, so I do give it that.
But they didn't even try. Like, I mean, all right, so they did try in a sense that originally the game was $75 and they made it free, but like we never saw any updates in the state of play it regarding the game or anything like that. Like they never did anything to try to get an audience to come back to a game that they already had for free. So
unfortunately, I think it was dead in the water. Like, because I played a little bit of it and it was like,
I played the day it came out and I never went back.
Yeah, it's okay, but it was the same reason why, like, when everybody's like, "I like a new Twisted Metal," I'm like, "Do you?" Because like these sort of vehicular combat games really haven't been popular since Twisted Metal was very popular.
Like what, Twisted Metal 2 or 3 was the last like really popular Twisted Metal?
I think Black did really well.
I think Black
even
did
that,
well,
yeah, Black did well with the PS3. I think it was PS3.
PS2.
Oh, PS2.
Yeah.
And then it just went away. But just like Bleeding Edge, when like Bleeding Edge dropped, I was like, this looks fun, but I could just get a sense that like this isn't going to last long. And it was unfortunate because I like Bleeding Edge. It was kind of unique. I like the characters, so I thought the characters were very cool.
That's heck for live service games. One of the reasons why Square Enix is losing so much money. I mean, they were stuck in a contract to keep Avengers online, and then they had Outriders got a small but dedicated community, surprisingly. And
Outriders was a good game. Their issue was servers. People had a lot of fun playing that.
But also, is Outriders closer to like Remnant than it is like
In a way, yeah. No. In a way, I know it's not Remnant 2. It's not Remnant 2, but in a way, it's kind of ish.
And it's like,
but it's not a Souls-like, right?
It's
no, but
not
I mean,
a
it's like,
Souls-like.
here's the full game, and then
Yeah,
you
they
can
did give
just
you a
sort
full
of,
game
and
that
then
was
repeat,
linear
yeah, and play as you feel. And there are secrets to be
with
found, and
with its own version of in-game that they did put a lot of effort into, I'll admit, and restatting. It was just the game. The problem was that some of those damage outcomes didn't make any sense. Like you had level 1. If you have an issue where level 1 weapons can do more damage in game than your like level 32 max plus stuff, and you don't have a lot, you have a big issue.
Yeah.
But live service games that's a very hard market to crack into because of all the live service games we got now. And the thing about it is that you're telling people to invest their time into these live service games and their wallets with like cosmetics and stuff. I mean, unless you coming in like with Fortnite getting skins from dangling everywhere, like you can have Goku and John Wick and Dwayne The Rock Johnson all in one server playing together or making like little Fortnite little cartoon shows on private servers. I mean, it's difficult. So we'll see what Sony. Let's see if Sony can do it.
It'll be interesting. I think they can get one off the ground. I think they can get one. I think out of the 10, I think they'll get one off the ground. Not saying it'll be like the most successful thing ever. Oh, with the wrong topic. But I think they'll do well. So moving on to our third topic. This is something near and dear to Kofi's heart. With everything we've seen,
JRPG Golden Era.
Yeah. Are we entering in the golden era of JRPGs again with Final Fantasy 16 and Sea of Stars and Chained Echoes and what other games Kofi are playing? Cry Machina. I guess the Yakuza series is kind of like JRPGs. They got JRPG elements.
Yeah, that's considered JRPG.
the last one, right? Like not.
I consider 7 a for
excuse me,
sure.
7. Yeah, 7 for sure. Like a dragon.
7 is definitely a JRPG.
So, are we entering into the golden era of JRPGs? I am going to let Kofi kick this off since he was the one who had this topic, and we'll just roll off of him. Kofi, what do you thought?
I actually think that we have reached a peak in a great JRPG era. I don't know if I want to call it golden, because I saw somebody else asking this question. I think this might be a silver age or a bronze age, for sure. And part of the reason I don't know if, to be honest, when I think of what defines a great era in RPGs, it makes me think of many different developers working completely mutually exclusive of each other, but producing very well. So I look at Square Enix, and I'm kind of counting some of the end of last gen, like 2018 to now, 2019 to now, like, a good 4-year window, and thinking of like between 1998 and 2002 as maybe to be honest, 1998 to 2002, that's like is that a silver age? Is that a gold age? I don't know, because there were JRPGs before 98 that are considered absolute classics, and I don't want to discredit like older Final Fantasy games before 98, like 6, 5, and 4.
During that time era, they got away with Disney and Final Fantasy put together. They literally mixed ketchup and soy sauce.
Yeah, so Kingdom Hearts came through in that era. So we'll always remember that era for having so much uniqueness. Of course, games like Suikoden were rolling through. I'm trying to think of other great franchises that we may not talk about so much. Of course, PlayStation had Wild Arms. The Tales series was already in full effect. Even Falcom's a 40-year-old developer, so they were making the Trail series in Japan at that time. That it wasn't going to be known, but they were also working really well. So when I look at the landscape today, and even excluding games that we might call WRPGs or RPGs, it's nice to see almost every player is at least back with a remaster. Reggie, I know you're probably really excited for the Switch remaster of Baten Kaitos 1 and 2. I actually never played it, but when it came out on GameCube back in the day, I always remember thinking that game was really cool. And now people, having seen that and getting a remaster, maybe something else happens with that franchise. The developers at Monolith Soft, some of them were employees of Squaresoft, and they have now embarked on their trilogy, the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy, and I hear that the third installation has, I won't go into spoilers, but I've been slightly spoiled, has some returning characters from the first two games, and it's almost like a culmination for fans in the Xenoblade series. One day I'll get into it. But Super Mario RPG is, finally coming back later this year. Star Ocean is finally back this year. We talk about a new Final Fantasy 16. Of course, my Trail series is in full effect right now. People loved the more recent Trails game that came out in the West in July. Yakuza Infinite Wealth, the sequel to Yakuza 7 that we were just talking about, is probably going to be highly praised. And then, Ys is one of the oldest RPGs ever. It's like as old as Final Fantasy 1. The new one comes out tomorrow. Wait,
Yeah.
well, I'm sorry. It comes out in today's the 25th? It's 28th. It comes out the 28th. So, so many old franchises and new franchises are being introduced. Like we have Cry Machina that's new. We have Level 5 making 2 original IPs. We love Level 5, right? They're almost like the kings of creating new IPs, right? There's almost no series that they've stuck with since we've heard of them. They have Dark Cloud, they have Joan d'Arc, they have Ni no Kuni, they have White Knight Chronicles, they have Little Battlers Experience. Now they have Megaton Musashi, which is their new IP, and they have another new IP, Decapolice. And both of those games apparently are still coming out this year. I don't know why they're so crazy. It's already basically October. They should just be honest and tell us it's getting delayed. But anyway, that's huge. There's almost no. I mean, Konami, even though Konami is like pissing us off because we really just want a Suikoden 7. Wait, there was never a 6. I'm sorry. Yeah, we want a Suikoden 6. But we're getting remasters of 1 and 2, the iconic ones, and then of course you have AU then Chronicle, which is like former employees of the Suikoden team making their own twist, which is like a spiritual sequel or a successor to the Suikoden franchise. The Wild Arms developers are making what's it called, Armed Fantasia, and then the what's it called, the Shadow Hearts Covenant developers. Shadow Hearts is one of the best RPGs I have ever played, and the game just died. Well, the third game did come out, and that was a very good game, like at least 8 out of 10 game. But the developer just disappeared, and now they're making Penny Blood. So all these IPs are all of a sudden either being remastered, and then we do have introductions of new things. So I think once Rebirth comes, and if it's like a banger, it's probably going to be a banger. I'm not sending my doubts, but I want to see it come out. I want to experience it and see what RPGs might be inspired by the massiveness that this game will be. I think it's safe to say that this is another massive era. I just don't know if it's bigger than what 98 2002 was, or like whenever Chrono Trigger came out. That was so huge. So that's my two cents.
I wouldn't call it a golden era, but I was gonna say I would call it a rebirth of the JRPGs in the eyes of the public. I think we're seeing a lot of those old games, but I think in order to quote unquote be in a golden era again, I think we have to get developers to get to the point where they're willing to take more risk and push these JRPGs into, not all of them got to be AAA, but they got to be willing to push more into the AAA space and really commit that budget to some of these JRPGs and really move the genre forward a little bit. It is great to see a lot of these old games come back, but me personally, I wouldn't call it a golden era quite yet. But I would call it a rebirth. We've seen a lot of we've seen Elden Ring, which is technically a JRPG. We've seen games like Sea of Stars and Scarlet Nexus come out and just rave about the success they've had this generation, which I don't think we've seen a lot of JRPGs do that in the past. So we're seeing a lot of success in the JRPG genre, and I am happy to see that. It looks like Nappy has something he wants to say, so I'm gonna just jump on to him and see what his thoughts are on this particular topic. Golden era of JRPGs, are we in one?
I don't know if we're in like a golden age of JRPGs, but there have been a decent amount of good JRPGs. I mean, we're about to get a new Dragon Quest game that's about to come out soon. We got in Star Ocean, which I really enjoyed. Valkyrie was also an awesome one. Kofi, did you play Enter Nights yet?
No, I played the demo. I enjoyed the demo, but I have not purchased it.
Okay. Well, I mean, we did. I will admit that Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield has been taking a lot of my time, but I do have Enter Nights, which it is a good game. I just can't fully dive into a JRPG as of yet. Because of the other games. But with that being said, I do know like another Dragon Quest, which is another hack and slash game. Sword Art Online Last Recollection is about to come out October 5th, which is going to continue the story of the anime with the second half, how crazy that has gotten and how dark it has gotten. So they usually are lighting up on the video games compared to the show and the manga, because the manga is actually the most darkest version of it.
Bleach is getting a JRPG next year.
And One Piece just got RPG this year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say it's a golden era, but I think it's a lot of people are starting to appreciate like the JRPGs where you can just have one of those games with quick hack and slash gameplay that you could just dive in a story that you could just dive into. And JRPGs have been great for that. I remember, like I said, like the first like story to dive into, like it wasn't fast at the time, but you believe it or not, would Devil May Cry be considered a JRPG?
I would consider that more action adventure.
Me too.
Me personally.
I mean, because like for me, like I did play Final. I did remember I played Final.
Level up in.
Well, there's not. Well, it's not. You don't level up, but you do like level up your gear and you level up your movesets.
You level up, you level up your equipment and stuff. It's not. But you don't really have a party. It's not really a JRPG. It's more action adventure.
Yeah, but like I remember like when I first was playing Final Fantasy 6 and 7 on the PlayStation, I didn't even know what the hell I was doing back then. I just click on this, attack this, and I learned the hard way. But yeah, I mean JRPGs, I wouldn't say it's a golden era. I would just say like we did have some good, decent JRPG games, and it's nice to have like certain games that you could just play and just get lost in the world and have some cool, fast hack and slash with like party members taking control. It's coming out there. I mean, I remember I think the last JRPG that I also played. Oh yeah, I forgot. I also played Trinity Trigger. That came out on PC.
Nice.
Yeah, that came out on PC. It was a fun little top down, and I didn't know it was had local co-op. I was like, okay, this is nice. Nice little JRPG game I could play with my friends, and of course, you got them movesets and stuff. So, I would honestly, I say that there is plenty of JRPG games to go around for this year, and some of them were decent. And I don't know if this will be considered the golden era. And I guess we do have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming out, because they got to milk the hell out of that blonde hair, blue eye, and blue-eyed silver hair person. I learned after learning how everyone's crying about Gojo. Huh?
They're about to milk Zack.
Well, they already milked. Well, yeah, I'm sorry, Zack. I think they probably brought Zack back alive because of what they're trying to do. Because everyone who knows to play the game, they already know what's going on. If you play the first game and with the DLC, you know, but. Yeah, they are definitely as especially even with today, like a lot more people are into anime and stuff. I can definitely see them more JRPGs coming with party systems and everything else. I mean, like I said, like a lot of people know about Sword Art Online. They're probably going to play Sword Art Online game, and most of the time, like the recent one was mid as hell, but just because it has Sword Art Online as its title with all the characters, with the Kirito Khan, with the one character with the hundreds of different waifus, even though he only has one wife, people are going to play it.
And the hype for Persona 3 remake or reload is pretty high right now.
Yeah, that comes out next month.
Oh shit! They got Persona 3. I forgot all about Persona. Yeah, that is coming out.
That comes out next
You
month.
getting more? Oh, as a matter of fact, Super Mario RPG is going to be coming out too.
Yeah, there's a lot, man. It's a lot. Almost every IP that you like, that at least I would complain about, if the IP isn't here, the developers working on, like the developers, how do I say this? Like the people who made that game are working on something else in the spirit of that IP.
See,
yeah, I'm surprised that turn-based games though is like catching people's attention, because usually these newer generation, it's hard to get them to sit down and play a turn-based game, but turn-based game seems to be perfect for them when they're like on the road or doing something.
I don't think it's the turn-based mechanic. I think JRPGs kind of cannibalize their own sales by having too much grind in the game. So like every JRPG doesn't have to be 100 hours. And I think, when they make you try to grind a level 99 and send you on a bunch of meaningless side quests, it kind of keeps you from getting into the next JRPG, because you only got so much time in a year to play so many games, and if there's so many JRPGs coming out, I think that's what kills it more than anything. But I think it's getting better. I think we're starting to see less grind in JRPGs, and I think you're able to hurry up and finish some of them and jump into the next ones. And I actually like that a lot.
JRPGs usually got great stories. Some of them have like really long stories that
amazing.
It's not a bad thing, but you just dive into. Like I remember, and also like I know a lot of people were talking about when Square Enix was just dropping out like a bunch of JRPGs out of nowhere, but I will forever say that I really did enjoy Infinite Discovery.
Yeah.
That was of my favorite game. I actually, after beating the whole game, I went through the underground dungeons and completed it 100%. Man, was that difficult as hell. I had like a level 150 on all my characters, going through all those like 10 each 100 floors. And to me, that was, oh my god, it was so good.
I'll give Final Fantasy 16 credit. It's one of the better stories that I have experienced in the past 5 years. It's really, really good story. That's the most recent JRPG I've played. I'm playing Tales of Arise. Really, really good story.
There you go. You're getting ready for that DLC, right?
They are making another DLC.
When I was watching that state of play, I was like, my timing is perfect, because I'm playing the game now, and pretty much just as I finish it, the DLC will be coming out.
Dohalim is one of my favorite Tales characters in all the games I've played, and so
who is one of your favorites?
Dohalim.
I haven't.
She's a magician.
I haven't gotten her yet. It's
a dude. Dohalim, he's dope because he casts magic.
Oh yeah, I seen him in the video, in the opening video.
Of course, there's only 6 characters. I know you've seen him.
I got 4. I got 4 so far.
But the reason I love him is his physical attacks are just as mighty as his magic. So like I had right at the end of the game, it was like the last 3 hours of the game, I was rolling with Dohalim. I had this attack pattern, nothing could hit me, and I could cast and like I was like darting around a stage. And I remember thinking, well, there's only 3 enemies to fight in this whole dungeon. I'm so bored. I wish I had more content. And now the DLC is coming, so now I can take that same build and I can finally apply it and adjust it with the new story. So it's like
only fight with Alphen.
Wait, so I'm about to say you don't. Wait, do you know how to juggle? Wait, question. Do you know how to juggle your party members to keep your combo going? Because there is a skill mastery that people develop where it's all in combos. You have to keep that combo up.
See,
you got to learn how to play with all of them.
Law. It's crazy.
No, law is crazy.
See, my issue is that I don't know how to quick juggle between characters. I know how to pause and switch to juggle between characters.
Shoot, Law can juggle on his own.
No, I'm saying I don't know how to juggle between characters. I didn't figure out.
Like just switching.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean,
Like,
I'm gonna let you know if you.
What button is that? Because I haven't discovered it.
don't remember, but I mean, I don't know. R3.
Oh
something.
god, it's been so long since I played
I played in
Arise.
2021.
I'm pressing
Yeah,
all them
same
bitches
here.
and I ain't juggling between characters. I think I juggled between characters once by accident. I was like, how the fuck did I do that?
Like, especially when you get a full party. Once you learn how to juggle between characters, and then also they have a unique thing where if you can get the quick times on point, like you could get up to like 400 combo, 500 combos, and just be well in on these enemies. Like they get to barely get a chance to stand back up. If like that's where that's where actually the whole like skill thing comes into. You need to know how to juggle your characters with party members and know which party members to use, which ones to put on standby, especially with bosses. Each boss, there is a specific character that has an action that can stop a boss's ultimate attack.
Like
you
if
need
you're
to
with,
know which character to
Kisada.
use.
Yeah, Kisada, her shield mechanic will stop any enemy that does a charge type of attack. So you want her in the party if they're gonna rush you down.
I see.
Definitely.
Well, you can use her as a standby. You can even keep them as standby and still keep them active.
Well, that's right. Yeah, you can call them in. I forgot about that.
You can call in you can call them in to back you up. Like that's the beauty of Tale of Arise is you gotta you got to know how to juggle with combos, and you got to know how to react to bosses with certain people. And usually you will know which character to use based off of which villain is connected to which character in your party. That's usually the hint to let you know like who is who's to use to counter a boss ultimate ability.
I think I've beaten 3 bosses so far. I haven't had like much issues, but yeah, I've been fucking people up. But I just been using Alpha. I had to figure out how to juggle between characters.
Hey, man, once you figure it, once you
talking about.
Once you figure it out, man.
My problem is I don't read the tutorial stuff. I just be like,
they don't teach you this in tutorial. This is something you got to discover.
Oh, well, they on some shit then.
I mean, they'll teach you the most like basic thing. It's like one of those things where like players learn like they make their own skill. They make their own like skill mastery things that players discover.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll look on YouTube and figure it out.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. People be juggling. It's the one guy with the fist and
Law.
Dang.
Law with the fist.
Yeah, I remember. Law with the fist. He's like one of the easiest characters you could juggle to any combo with any character.
I got Law and Renwell so far. Those are my 2 extra party members I have so far.
It's 2 extra. Okay, so yeah, you just got the party members of 4. You actually you got a full set. You can start juggling.
Yeah,
I want to get used to that.
Yeah, I got Renwell and Law. I just made it to the city where all the Danons actually live really good. And like they're
and then you met the giant shield girl and
I literally just got in there, so I haven't done anything in the city yet. I haven't met anyone.
You're with the Earth guy.
Yeah, so I just got there like on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday is like football, so I ain't touched Tales of Arise over the weekend.
Yeah, go Lions. They won. They beat the Falcons. Woo! Yeah.
Congratulations. But yeah, so we got Nappy's thoughts. Zero, what are your thoughts on JRPG Golden Era? Are we in it?
I wouldn't necessarily say gold.
You're botting a little bit. Try leaving out and coming back in. We got you back.
Better, right?
Yeah, let's see.
I don't know what just happened. I would say I wouldn't necessarily golden. I would definitely say silver. Like I think we are in the silver age of the JRPGs. Very specifically, like Kofi did like a 5 or 6 year period. I would stretch it to 10. So I would do 96 to 2006, probably the golden era, give or take sort of the old classics from the SNES time. But 96 is the birth of Pokemon. It is the birth of Final Fantasy VII. I think the original Kingdom Hearts is in there. Grandia, the first 2 Star Oceans, I believe. Then you move to 2016 to 2026, which would where we are now would be the silver era. That middle area, I guess bronze, but I don't think it's any surprise that the rise of the shooter, because Halo 2 dropped I think in 2002. The rise of the shooter kind of put the downplay on, a lot of other game types, but specifically JRPG. People just weren't spending that time to do that anymore because it's fast, twitchy shooters. Like that's the new meta. That's the new thing that we're doing. So, it is the classic era, but then it is our modern day era is just enhancing a lot of the things that the classic era brought us. We're still missing some of that new IP that really pops and that really hits. So like the latest Pokemon is on paper the best Pokemon game they've ever made. It just runs horribly. But if the game ran great, it would be an excellent, excellent game. Like 10 out of 10. It fulfills a lot of the dream of what you wanted out of Pokemon. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a part of this era. Fire Emblem came big to the masses, really heavy. Yeah. There's Persona 5, which like really people like, and then there's the return of like the classics, right? Like I'll put Final Fantasy VII in this. It's the return of Final Fantasy VII to like the world, and it is through remake and integrate and rebirth. It's a whole new take on an old series that we loved, but it is back. It's the return of Star Ocean 2, which for me, my greatest game of all time. But it's also the return of Suikoden 2, which is wildly considered one of the best JRPGs of all time. As well as Super Mario RPG, another excellent addition to the list. Like what they've done is really recognized in this era how much we enjoyed a lot of those older games. Valkyrie Profile came back.
I was gonna ask, would you credit Final Fantasy VII Remake with kind of putting a spotlight back on the genre? Because I mean, there's always been great JRPGs. It's not like they stopped making them.
I think Final Fantasy VII helped it, and just the way it sort of did the first time around, it definitely helped springboard it into the more mainstream avenue.
Yeah, like just put a spotlight on it, and not only did it put a spotlight on it for the consumer, but I think it put a spotlight on it for developers. We started to see, Square Enix dig into its back catalog a little bit, like you said, with Star Ocean and Chrono Cross and a couple other games that they released.
I mean, Square has just been like, despite their big, massive flops, if you're a JRPG fan, Square has kind of been doing you good for a little bit.
Yeah, like, but I'm just talking about them bringing the classics back, as far as bringing those classics back.
But and that's why I say it's still silver, because the classics are fine and good, and even sort of the continuations of old series. But to put it into the new gold, you got to have new stuff.
Yeah,
like that's true. Is hard to.
And there has been some new stuff.
It's true, absolutely true. But it's like 1996 gave us Pokemon Red and Blue. Like it's really hard to compete against that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is before we talk about the legacy of Final Fantasy, 7 and above, or the really the Squaresoft sort of saga of that whole era between Saga Frontier and Final Fantasy. I know Enix did Star Ocean.
We have a new Saga game coming. Oh, but you're saying introduction of a new IP.
Introduction of a new one, and we have some new ones like Octopath is new.
Yeah, and Triangle Strategy is new.
Triangle Strategy is new.
Bravely Default is mostly new.
Bravely Default is mostly new. Yeah, I'll give it to that. So that's what I mean. Like we're getting there.
Yeah.
And they keep up that energy, we're going to be in a new, or Yakuza, Like a Dragon. Like on paper that shouldn't have worked, but it works so perfectly.
So
it's excellent JRPG.
The thing with the new IP that is kind of making it tough to me is that while we have all this great new IP, nobody's willing to make those great new IP AAA. And I think until you have a great new AAA JRPG, I don't think you'll be in that golden era again. Because at the time when we were growing up, those games for us, they were AAA. So we were getting the best of, you know, what the hardware and like everything, like they put everything to make the best possible game they could. And, you know, the JRPG genre isn't necessarily afforded that same luxury today. Like we're seeing it with Final Fantasy VII Remake, but we're not really seeing it with a lot of other titles. And I think once we get to that point where these developers are willing to take that risk and really allow that to take place, I think once we have that, I think then we can say we're in a golden era again. Like you don't, like it doesn't have to be, you know, like 20, but if you can drop if 3 or 4 drop in a generation and one is a brand new IP, I think that'll be really good.
Right.
And I like partially agree. Like we definitely still need some new
Like,
IP
Hey,
period.
high
with-
budget.
Hey, does anybody still play the Y series, the YS series?
East 9.
Because apparently
East?
yeah, the YS what's that, 9 Monster Next, that came out, and I didn't realize it came out this year. I haven't had a chance to dive into it, but I heard that game was pretty good.
Kobe,
Yeah,
you
so-
started or finished it?
Huh?
I think Kofi played
Co-
it.
Kofi plays it, yeah.
Yeah, so I imported the Japanese version back in 2019 on PS4, and I loved it. It's probably my favorite East game. But also to answer your question, Nappy, I'm importing East 10, which comes out in Japan in 3 days.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the only JRPG I'm looking forward to is I know Dragon Quest Monsters coming out, and and also the Sword Art Online, the final saga of this crazy trilogy that Kirito's in.
Yeah,
Which I know is going to be
Dragon
bloody
Quest
as hell.
12.
yeah, Dragon Quest 12 is going to be great. Dragon Quest 11 is one of the highest rated Dragon Quests ever.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And then Dragon Quest Monsters, to your point, Nappy, it's been a long time. Like I don't play Dragon Quest Monsters, but there's one guy on Twitter, his name is Toxic. Him and I have linked up over other Dragon Quest related things. He's like, "Oh my god, this is like amazing. My life has changed because Dragon Quest Monsters is finally being recognized." So, you know, that's really great. And then Front Mission suddenly back.
Mission, yep.
Getting like it's just a lot.
Yeah.
It's like if you were here and excited in the 90s, there's something back here that got you excited, whether it's Suikoden or Final Fantasy or whatever.
What I think, to your point, Farrell, what I think is, I think they can cheat their way to a golden age if they keep up the level of input with medium good games. Every once in a while, we're going to get like Final, just like it used to pass. Final Fantasy is going to carry us for a lot of it. So with Rebirth, Remake, and whatever like they're going to carry it. But I think pound for pound, blow for blow, a lot of the medium level games of this generation stand a bit taller than the medium games of the golden generation.
Yeah.
And so we can keep pushing, like you can cheat your way, you know, it's a numbers game instead of like, or what, baseball, you know, instead of hitting all home runs, can you just get on base? We got a lot of second and third base contenders here in the current gen that can slide it through. We just need 1 or 2 more big dogs to help us alongside Final Fantasy.
Yeah, like I would love to see like Scarlet Nexus take that next step. I would love to see Tails can take another step. And
Tails always been killing it.
Yeah, but I'm saying if they take another step, they take a step higher, and like you know, like we get to the point where like these JRPGs are selling 20-30 million a copy, you know, a release. That's where we need to get to. Like where like we got a couple of Elden Ring coming from the JRPG genre instead of just
He's had a couple Elden Rings.
But here's the crazy thing about Elden Ring, right? Like the budget's probably I guess I see what you're saying.
I'm talking about sales wise.
Yeah, regardless of
budget wise.
Yeah.
We need a couple of those. You know, where we have, you know, a couple of JRPGs that break that 20 million sales mark. Because once you get that going, then you know, these Japanese developers are gonna be like, hey, we need you to pump out some more of these JRPGs. You know, so I would like to see it.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? We got a bunch of JRPGs JRPGs don't advertise themselves nowhere near as much compared to other games in the Western audience.
Facts.
I
Sometimes they
think
don't advertise well, which I think is to Pharaoh's point. Like Final Fantasy advertises well because you put two dudes fighting with giant swords on like a quick 30-second commercial. That's interesting. To put Bravely Default 2, and I've seen the commercial of Bravely Default 2, was like,
It's
is that
because
or
it's because they don't put a lot of budget into the actual game that you
yeah.
have to actually play it to understand the enjoyment.
it's not as
in the fact-
flashy.
Yeah.
You need that flashy like.
That's why I said you
Ooh,
need at
man.
least 4. You need at least 4 of those big budget games. Like Scarlet Nexus showed very well. Like when
Oh,
they
that showed well.
it showed very well.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta have the flashy combos, the particle effects, the kid, the main character on his knees crying, then get it back up to fight the enemy.
or a catchy hook song like Kingdom Hearts. Like however you get people in is how you get them in. Like they just gotta like be interested in this, and like you can do it. Like I know they can do it. Pokemon's there, Final Fantasy's there, and also be interesting. Like it's really outside of my date range, but I'm just going to use it to make a point. And it's not technically a JRPG, but Undertale is one of the most unique, quote unquote, JRPGs in a long time.
Yeah.
In a game where you don't have to kill anybody, that you can actively choose not to kill anyone throughout the entire game.
I tried to not kill people, man. It's hard.
It's hard.
No, screw that. I just went the devil route. Just killed everyone. I did so many run-throughs of Undertale.
I killed like 30%.
A genocide run, which is a whole different run, which gives you a whole different ending. Like we need a little bit more stuff like that. That's also kind of unique and interesting. That really gets people like, yo, you heard about this game? Like, really? Already come? Like, yes, play it.
Yeah, I think we are close to a golden era, but I just think like I said, I think we need 3 or 4 of those big budget games that really carry it and really push the genre. Like you have like 3 or 4 big first person. Like every genre has like 3 or 4 really big games that kind of push that genre forward, and everyone else just kind of comes along and rides the wave. Whether it be like your Call of Duties or your Grand Theft Auto, or your Witchers or Cyberpunk. It's always a couple of really big games, and I think the JRPG genre has a lot of great games, but they don't have a lot of those like AAA games that push it forward. So like if Persona 6 is that that big AAA budget game that
could be one, yep.
That pushes it forward right after Final Fantasy VII Rebirth drops, and like it's just it's got to
even though Persona 5 didn't sell like massive like Elden Ring numbers, it has permeated the average market. Like I've got several family members who have come to me and been like, I just picked up Persona because I heard that it's a great RPG. They don't know anything. They just have a Switch. They wanted to go get an RPG because they like the anime aesthetic, and they pick up that game. So it does have a social impact, but definitely not like.
I mean, we all know 4 was the best one.
Ooh, really? I kind of agree with you. I like the characters in 4 more, but I like the level design in 5 more. Because 4 dungeons are just hallways. It's just hallways.
Yeah, they are just hallways. I'll give you that. But I mean,
5 was cool. You're jumping in paintings, all this cool stuff. But yeah, you're right. The cast of 4, I actually resonate with them more.
Yeah, but everyone talks about 5, but
I know.
Apparently, if you're a real Persona fan, you already know the characters in 4 were better. That's what I was told.
You poor Persona fans. Talk to Shin Megami Tensei fans, okay? We're the ones left behind.
Hey, well, Shin Megami Tensei 5 was pretty good.
I haven't gotten into it yet, but I do want to get it.
Yeah, I haven't played it like that much, but it has been a long.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited about JRPG genre. It's probably one of my favorite genres because you know, it's nothing better than sitting through a great story, especially when it's interactive. And you get to really like bond with the characters, and you know, through all your battles and things like that, you grow a real attachment to characters that you don't necessarily grow the same type of attachment um with other media forms like a book or a movie, even though you can with books and movies and mangas like grow that attachment. I just feel like it's a little bit more unique when you're going through the experience with the character interactively. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the JRPG genre being strong again. But there was a time where it was a little bit, you know, on the back burner. So definitely excited to see that.
Oh,
And what you got?
I forgot. Deca Police is coming out tomorrow. I forgot
All right.
about that.
Not tomorrow, but sometime later this year.
I thought it was not the 23rd of September.
I don't think they have a release date just yet.
Oh.
I'll
Which
let you guys.
it's so strange because they're like 2023, we swear, and it's like there's no concrete date.
All right. Well, I don't want to hold you guys up till 1 a.m. So let's roll into this fourth topic here. It is over. You can finally stop talking about this. It looks like the CMA has cleared the ABK acquisition to go through. Pending someone coming to the altar and saying why these two should not be wed. This transaction will finally go through thanks to an agreement between Microsoft and Ubisoft on cloud distribution rights. So how does it feel for this to finally be over? I'm gonna go to our most vocal member of the podcast, who has wanted this deal to either die or go through, so we can stop talking about it the longest. Kofi, how do you feel about this?
Thank God. We can move on. We can talk about how wonderful all of these cavalcade of games that have come out. We just left the JRPG conversation. Now we can talk about how Starfield has taken our time, or how Remnant 2 has taken our time, or how what's it called? Baldur's Gate 3 should be taking everybody's time, or how great Hi-Fi Rush was. So much has been put into these. I've just seen crazy Twitter fights of quotes over statements and financial explanations, and everybody's smarter than everybody else. And oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, I just hope all of
Everybody
that.
wanted to be right.
Everybody just wants to be right and dismisses anybody else's arguments.
Yeah.
Doesn't give any reasonability to somebody else's perspective. So I hope that this turns into, from a gaming side, I hope this turns into a competitive space between, you know, PlayStation and Xbox. I do want PlayStation to have more multiplayer games, because a lot of like my nostalgia of multiplayer games it definitely comes from Xbox, but more recently came from PlayStation, specifically in the PS3 era, a little bit in the PS4 era. So if they can get back to that, get back to things like Starhawk, Warhawk, of course Killzone, what's it called? Something like Twisted Metal. I'm not saying those IPs specifically, but those are ones I enjoyed. Looking for anything that they could make that would be just as fun. So I hope that comes from all of this. And yeah, man, not much else to say, because I'm definitely ready to move on.
All right. I'll go to a fellow Game Pass member now and see what his reaction is to this. Navi, how you feeling about this acquisition getting cleared, ABK acquisition?
I mean, I'm honestly glad that it finally got cleared, because I'm curious to know how much money did Sony and Microsoft spend in court fees, because honestly, like
Sony spent a ton, because they're not defending anything. They more so lobbied.
Yeah, because I know that I know that Sony spent some money and stuff and cried wolf. I mean, I'm glad, because of some of the practice. It revealed a lot. The only thing I'm glad is that this case actually gave us behind the scenes look on how marketing practicing does, who gets rights to what games and stuff like that. And honestly, like, there was a lot of anti-competitive things going on that were brought up to light. Like, and I'm like I said, I'm glad that it's over. I know that now that basically Microsoft is now going to have the forefront of all of the co-op games. I mean, you got Call of Duty now. You got a bunch of IPs. I mean, they got Candy Crush. I mean, a lot of people sleep on that, but let's face it, that's a lot of money right there alone. Now we can focus on basically we can now just focus on all the new up and coming games, and we can honestly talk about something else, because I was one of those people who got tired of listening to the ABK deals that were like, oh, it's not going to go through. Oh, that company's too big. Oh, it's too much of a monopoly. And I was like, look, it's there. Okay. Look, Sony people, like, you guys are doing unfair practices. Final Fantasy VII Remake still hasn't come out on Xbox. And we know why. We learned that PlayStation was trying to stop games from coming out on its competing consoles. I mean, heck, that's what we learned about Starfield. They were about to stop Starfield from coming out on Xbox, and Xbox caught wind of it, so they just said, screw it, we're just going to buy the whole company. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the only thing that I actually liked about this whole deals and all the court cases is reveal all the scummy practices that like Sony, Microsoft, and everybody was doing. And just basically also, I don't like exclusivity rights. I do like it to a certain extent, but if it's like a third-party company and then that had nothing to do with production of the game, but then like, hey, make this exclusive to our console, and also we'll give you some marketing budget so that way you can market our game just for our console, or it's just for our console for 6 months. It's stupid. I don't like that at all.
I don't like third party exclusivity, and the reason that I don't like it is because when a game fails behind that platform holder does not share any responsibility in that failure.
No, yeah.
I don't like that. So like, like when,
I mean, look at Final Fantasy 16. I mean, a lot of people were a little disappointed, but I'm pretty sure they would have sold a lot more if it came out on PC in a timely fashion. I'm not paying $70 in December for that game.
Yeah, I mean,
now I know the game is mid.
So, that's where I stand on third party exclusivity. I'm not a fan of it. Now, if you want to partner with a third party studio and it's like actually develop the game with them, like Rise of the Ronin that Sony's doing, that's great. I'm cool with that. But like, just third party exclusivity, I'm not a fan of it, because you're limiting the full potential of that said game, and if it fails, it's on them. So I'm not a fan of it. I mean, they're the one that's taking that risk, yes, but still don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
if we're a fan of it and we lose it, yeah, they took that risk, but we also lost something in the process. So,
yeah, I mean, like now, like I said, like Final Fantasy VII Remake never touched Xbox because of Sony.
Because Sony made it wasn't exclusive, but it got priority over other platforms, and it only really released well on PlayStation, and it suffered on PC and Xbox, and now the head developer of that game had to leave the studio. So,
I mean, there's that short-term money, man. But we like I said, it just revealed a lot of scummy practices that were happening, and hopefully, I remember, I think the PlayStation 2 era was like my favorite era of Sony because of all the random games that you got that were actually really good. Like Sony has era. You think PlayStation 2 was their scummiest era?
Yeah. They killed the Saturn. And then they killed the Dreamcast.
They could kill themselves, but
I don't know if Sony was a fault for the Dreamcast. I mean, Sega Saturn, I mean,
Sega Saturn was dead in the water.
Yes,
the Dreamcast had
but something that Sony did during that era is that they purchased studios and then closed them down just so they couldn't make games on other competitive platforms.
Damn, you telling me Sony had been doing this for a long time?
Yeah,
damn, Sony. I thought it was because of the DVD player with the PlayStation 2.
I think it's a lot of it. It's almost the Nintendo started the downfall of Sega. Like Sony does not take all the blame in this.
They don't, but Sony is the most evil in it. Nintendo, they just like, we're gonna do what we do. We're gonna do it better than you, and we're gonna make sure that you can't sell in the same places that we sell.
I mean, that mobile market, they're threatened right now. I know they scared now thanks to that Steam Deck and all these portable handhelds that are outpowering the Switch.
As soon as the Steam Deck gets a Pokemon equivalent, then they will be afraid. Till then, Nintendo is kicking their feet up comfortably. Let's see if Pal World can do anything.
I mean, hey, they look okay. Somebody's they're going to start making these some games that can compete with some of them. I mean, honestly, Mario is really hard to beat. If they find a way to beat Mario and it comes on the handheld device, I think that's when Nintendo will be scared. But I think Nintendo already knows because they're starting to see a downhill in sales of Nintendo Switches. They can't milk the Nintendo Switch anymore. They are like
Super Nintendo Switch
or whatever the hell they call it. I wish one of us was a games console. We could figure out what the hell this secret new console that Nintendo had showcased there.
Yeah, but Zero, what were your thoughts on this deal finally clearing as the staunchest opposer of the deal on the current panel?
Well, first I just want to correct myself. I just happened to be looking stuff up when I was talking about Apollo Justice. He is not a prosecutor; he's a defense attorney. But moving on from there. Yes, as you know, I'll say my basic boiler point. Obviously, not a huge fan of consolidation. Think it's not necessarily great for the industry. Blah 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 blah. Otherwise, it is happy that it's just done. Like, it's boy oh boy, Kofi is right. It's exhausting seeing everyone just become lawyer or financial analyst or CEO or something. Like, it's like, all right, come on, guys, and not wanting to discuss the matter in a way that invites conversation. Yeah, but just want to tell you why you're wrong and you're dumb, and that not only are you wrong and dumb, this specific choice will be the end of this hobby completely, and it will be solely on your head for doing this. It's like, okay, I don't know if that's the case. So I once again go back to my usual refrain. All right, Xbox, run me my games. Now,
my 100+ games now.
But, and I say this, and here's the reason why I say this. Like, I have never owned an Xbox system. I wasn't necessarily on board with them when the original Xbox popped out. When the 360 era came, I was in college. I did not need a 360 because I spent half of the year living with people who owned 360. Never needed one. Then the Xbox One came. Once again, legitimately just kind of whack, just trash system. And so now we're in the Series S and Series X. There's a probably 90% chance within the next year or so I'll be picking up a Series X. Just because I have an opportunity. Why not? Like, I don't particularly subscribe to any platform, and if there is one, it's Nintendo. So I need my games, Microsoft, and I need it from the sense that, like, once again, you have been building up. It's been a rebuilding year for a really long time. It's time to stop building and show us what you got. And it doesn't always have to be a success. I'm not asking you for things to hit 90+ metas every release. I'm not worried about that. I just need you to start releasing games. Period. That's all I need. Like, Redfall didn't hit that well. That's okay. At least it came out. Because not everything gonna hit well. So I really need you to, like, step up, show us these games, get us the stuff out here. Because what's the excuse now? Like, there can't be any more excuses.
Outside of a delay, which delays will happen.
As his life goes.
They are scheduled ever since the drop of Hi-Fi Rush in January. They have dropped a first party IP every quarter.
I want to say they've been doing pretty decent. Right now, after Starfield, which everyone's playing, and after I just beat the main story, I realized that how you can easily sink so much hours into that game. The way how they did it was actually really smart.
You got at least one IP every quarter from Xbox from here on out, pretty much for the next at least through 2024.
I mean, They got Spirit Father just came out. Solar Ash, Lies of P, which actually people are really enjoying.
Those aren't first party.
It's not first party though.
You got
Lies of P's on
Hi-Fi.
PlayStation.
You got Hi-Fi for Xbox gamers. You got Hi-Fi. Some people might say Ghostwire Tokyo doesn't count because it released on another platform first. You got that. Then you got
High on Life, right?
That's not first party.
No, High on Life was first party, but they now come into other consoles.
Oh, okay.
But, which I mean, I was actually shocked about that one.
I think it was just timed exclusive.
It's timed exclusive. It's not an Xbox publishing.
Gotcha.
Wait, so I have a question. Does it have to be first party for it to count?
Well,
we're just talking about Xbox delivering the games. Not saying Xbox isn't acquiring like third party exclusive deals or anything like that.
Yeah, because I'm gonna say, doesn't I wouldn't I say that that basically just allow, at least if they're releasing the game, shouldn't that count? Does it have to be a first party exclusive?
We're mainly talking about Xbox now that they have all these studios coming through with their studios and releasing games. That's all. I'm not taking away from them.
Yeah, to make it simple though, all I'm saying is Xbox, sell me on buying an Xbox. Why should I buy it? So however games come out, like be it timed exclusivity deals, be it Game Pass, be it first party, however you do that, but like those are the games I'm focused on. Like what games are you giving me that's saying, oh, I should pick up this $500 or $400 system?
Yeah, so far this year you got Hi-Fi. It started off with Hi-Fi Rush, and you got Ghostwire Tokyo eventually came over. Then you got Minecraft Legends, Redfall, Starfield. I think next week you get Forza. Then that pretty much ends it for this year. There'll be no more games up until next year, and I think next year you get in next quarter of the first quarter of next year you'll get Avowed, and you get Hellblade, and we got to see what else is going to be covering the other 2 quarters.
Well, not bad. In a perfect world for me, I'd double those numbers. And again, the only reason why I'm specifically being harder Xbox than like any others.
Well, technically, you got Diablo and Call of Duty, and we're not naming those, but we got those two too. But.
Yeah, like the only reason why I'm being at the moment, like that will inevitably change once they just find their stride and ride. It's just because like I just know for such a long time you just haven't been doing it.
Well, they had outside of 2022, they've had a decent release cadence since 2018. With the Wasteland, Wasteland 3 and Flight Simulator and Psychonauts 2, that was all like 2018, 2019.
I don't disagree, but I think it's the collective of the whole. Like it's everything. It's all the small pieces to make the whole of it all.
Because they won Publisher of the Year 2021 or 2020.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like I have no issue with them doing it. But my one and only thing for Xbox is your strategy on breaking ground and moving forward as industry is clearly apparent, and you're going forward and like Godspeed on that. I want to see the results. And not the sort of medium level results. There's just no reason Xbox can't be knocking it out of the park here on out. Like I don't see any reason why it can't be.
Yeah, even with their current collection studios, they really don't have any excuses. They have a couple genres they don't have covered.
That's fine. Yeah.
Every publisher has some genres they don't have covered.
I'm not asking them to give me the world. I'm just saying, bro, like you're poised and ready, probably more than ever, right? Like I guess the 360 era is the only one that is close to rivaling it.
I think Nintendo's the only one that has every genre covered. They have like a fighting game. They have they don't have a first person shooter, do they?
No.
They I think it's honestly they have a third person shooter.
They're trying to get that Metroid out.
Yeah. Yes, if you count Metroid, yeah.
I mean, I guess they need they need a competitive first person shooter, but I mean they said that Call of Duty is coming to Switch or Nintendo platform.
I'm not saying it has to be competitive, but just have every genre covered. So as long as you have like a first person shooter, doesn't necessarily be competitive. Because Nintendo's online sucks anyway, so
yeah. So it's like nobody's really asking for that much out of it.
Yeah.
So like good for you, Xbox. You sort of won this round. let's go to work, baby. Let's get these games out. I'm ready. I'm excited. Like,
Oh,
I know you're going to get. I know they're going to do something. No, it's going to be like, now's the time. Now's the time to pick up my Xbox because this is the thing that I want.
I am happy that the deal went through. I'm glad it's over with. Um, as you know, Farrell said from day one that the deal would go through. I kind of gave out a list of reasons. People didn't like those reasons, but hey, here we are. Deal went through. So me personally, um, it's cool that it went through, but unless um the development cycle of Activision and Blizzard change, um, this is an L for me. Like they gotta like it can't just be Call of Duty because my biggest thing is like people are talking about Activision's too big for them to buy, and I'm like, well, what games is Activision making? Like their output isn't really that great as far as content, even though they're such a big publisher because everything is mainly geared around Call of Duty. So unless they can find a way to generate some more output out of all these studios that they now own, because um, ABK has more employees than all of Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda. They have more employees than all of them. So they definitely need
It's
more output. Um,
I, I think I know a good place to start because there's actually a marketing that's dying really badly. And I think that I realized that now the ABK deal went through, Xbox can be the go-to console for some of these esports games, like Hearthstones and
yeah,
Overwatch, which is dying.
I think
There's potential.
well,
They could do a lot if they are smart from going forward.
yeah, Sony and Xbox have been positioning themselves for that esports wave to kind of be the dominant player there, but I mean, I don't think we've really seen any legitimate headway towards like this is the official console of esports. I don't think we've seen that quite yet. I don't know if that quite happened, but hey, something to keep an eye on.
I mean, it's getting there. I mean, well, actually, it's getting there. I mean, right now, Microsoft has put themselves in a good position right now.
Yeah,
Put some of these esports titles on Game Pass.
yeah.
You are yeah.
Microsoft bring back Killer Instinct, which gave you a direct in to one of the larger esports venues.
I
Mhm.
you know me, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of ABK being acquired, but I was happy for them that they were able to make such a big move because I think it does help them long term. I am
I-
interested to see where they go from here because I know it's not their last acquisition. I want to see. I'm interested to see how they go about rounding out this portfolio and shaping it into what they want to be. I kind of want to. I think this generation of Xbox is mainly shaping what Xbox is going to be for the future. So I'm just kind of interested to see kind of what they're going to do next because I know they're not done yet. The leaked documents show that they're not done yet. So
Yeah.
they're being pretty ambitious at the moment, and I just kind of want to see where all that kind of goes and where they land from here. Once this deal goes through, I know there's gonna and it sucks to say, but we're gonna be right back. Well, we're not gonna be right back in this situation because there's no other publisher that is quite as big as Activision that Microsoft can legitimately acquire. But I think we'll kind of get the same type of noise in 6 to 8 months when they announce whatever their next play is going to be. Because I think there is one in the work.
Yeah, tell Phil Spencer to stop trying to buy Nintendo because he mentioned it last week again. He's like, yeah, I want to.
We talked about that. But I don't think he's going for Nintendo. I do think he's going for something in Japan. But I think it's Square, Sega, and down. I think Capcom kind of made it known that they're not in it, but I I think between Square, Sega, Level 5, some of those guys, I think they're
I
definitely
think
shopping.
they should buy Sega. They should definitely buy Sega. Bring back Skies of Arcadia, for the love of God. We're talking about you want to golden era JRPGs, man. I don't care. Skies of Arcadia come out, that'll be a golden era for me. I don't give a damn.
I don't see a lot of value in acquiring Sega because they have such a strong relationship with Sega. They get whatever games Sega puts out. Me personally, I don't see it.
I mean, hey,
I think I think you know the knife in the side acquisition would be Square Enix. Honestly,
just saying, guys.
I get what you're saying.
Skies of Arcadia is special.
Chicken.
But like I said, I'm just interested to see what they do. Sega would just be like, oh, we're getting games that literally we're already getting. There's not many Sega games they're not getting right now. But there's a lot of Japanese publishers that aren't necessarily dropping games on Xbox, and if they acquired them, it would be an immediate boost to the portfolio. So
I wouldn't even say like acquire the studios. Just go to Japan, be like, hey, we're gonna have this meeting. Hey, listen, we have all these people that have Xbox,
they're
and
gonna do
honestly,
that too. They're gonna do that too, but they're gonna buy someone. They've already made it known they're not done shopping. That's why I said that it's gonna be interesting to see how they round out this generation with their first party catalog portfolio.
I will be shocked if they buy something after the ABK deal by the end of this year. I will be shocked because at this point,
I didn't say by the end of the year. I said over the next 6 to 8 months. That already rolls into next year, so we're talking like next spring, next summer. I mean, think about it. We thought they were done. People thought they were done with Bethesda, and 6 to 8 months later, they announced ABK. From the time that the deal closed, 6 to 8 months later, they had another deal announced. I think it's gonna kind of be the same thing.
You know what's crazy? I could actually see Microsoft buying Square Enix just because Square Enix shares have drastically dropped.
Yeah, I see that as a possibility. But I
yeah, because they need to be saved. Yeah, that company needs to be saved. And Sony can't save Square Enix, and they're trying to focus on NFTs, and the direction they went kind of screwed them over. They screwed themselves over, and they need that cash out.
A lot of people didn't talk about it because they weren't on the acquisition list and the documents that got released like in July when they were actually in court with the FTC. But Square Enix, prior to the ABK acquisition, had a formal, like full acquisition packet that was presented to them. And that was part of the court documents. It kind of got breezed over, but they already offered Square. But when
Square turned it down, and so they turned down. Square turned down PlayStation and Microsoft.
It wasn't a matter of being turned down. They said they cut off negotiations to do the ABK. It wasn't a firm no. They were negotiating. I'll be
Interesting.
Up in a minute. I'm almost done. Be up in a minute. Damn, that you just woke up. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where they go with that. Like I said, I don't think they're done shopping. I think Satya and Phil have said they're not done shopping. So I'm just interested to see where they go from here and round up the portfolio. ABK, I just want to see like the crashes, the Spyros, the prototypes. I want to see some of those come back. I know a lot of people are asking for StarCraft back. It's the franchise I've never.
Wonderful to see Star Wars. Wonderful to see that again.
Bring back Tony Hawk Pro Skater, which I think they did just do a Tony Hawk Pro Skater like in the last 5 years.
They did. I think it was like 2 years ago. The Tony Hawk Pro Skater, they remade like 1 and 2 and packaged it all together in one. It plays nice. It's really good.
Yeah.
Nothing groundbreaking, but good.
It's just a fun game to play. Like everything doesn't have to be best thing ever, but just fill up Game Pass with a whole bunch of different type of titles that that are currently maybe not the strongest in there right now. I don't think there's a lot of platformers in Game Pass. not a lot of prominent ones like Crash and Spyro at least. So I think those being in there kind of help a lot. Um, not a lot, not it's not a ton of kids games in there, and that's kind of and you know they do have a lot of kids games at ABK. They got the IPs at least, so it'd be nice to see a lot of them jump in there. Um, yeah, I mean, there's some things I like about it. Um, but yeah, we'll see. Um, any other things? Or are we just going to jump into our outros? Going once,
Uh,
going twice.
for all you PlayStation people, D, take off your debit cards, all your Xbox for your PlayStation accounts, because there could be possibly another 2011 incident. Somebody threatened the PlayStation, Sony, that they hacked into all their servers and they got all the information, and they say, and Sony did not agree to pay. Last thing I need is for your guys' debit card information to be sold again. So this is just hot news that came out today. So
yeah, we didn't cover the ransomware attack, but it's a pretty big thing because they didn't just compromise PlayStation; they compromised all of Sony.
Yeah, they compromised all of Sony, but debit cards.
Yeah,
for the love of God, that's the last thing I want. I don't want to see that happen again to PlayStation people.
I don't use debit cards; they're the devil. I use credit cards. I use the bank's money, pay them back. All right, so on to outros. All right, so Jubei has already disappeared, but you can find him at Jubei Sensei, pretty much on all platforms, and they'll be in the description below. Nappy, where can people find you?
Yes, if you guys are looking for me, you guys can find me on Twitter and YouTube. All you gotta do is type in Nappy Senshi. Yes, I gotta finish the review on this controller. I didn't get a chance to finish it because I had to take my girl to a Jonas Brother concert and they wouldn't stop screaming. My ears just stopped ringing Monday morning. It was crazy. I didn't know women still love Jonas Brothers. Also been working on this review too. This one's actually going to be a shorter review for the GameSir G7 SE controller, which is their first Hall Effect joystick controller. And then there's another new controller that Bayaton came out with that I got to order now because that controller has Hall Effect joysticks, which gives PC Nintendo Switch. Now Nintendo Switch and PC has another controller with Hall Effect joysticks, which is nice to hear, but god damn, why does Nintendo Switch have so many controllers with Hall Effect joysticks?
Did you see the new PlayStation one?
There is no PlayStation controller with Hall Effect joysticks.
Yes, no, Kofi just tagged you in one with Hall Effect joysticks. I saw it.
Wait, when was this? I want to see this.
It was like a couple
just
days
get
ago.
announced.
It was a couple days ago. Kofi tagged you in it on Twitter.
It has an Xbox.
Yeah.
What? About time. About time. No, because they were like.
Oh, go ahead.
I was saying.
Nintendo has them, so they don't get the shit suit out of them for their shitty Joy-Con drift things.
Yeah, I know.
Gotta have options.
Yeah, but it's just weird to me that like the one console that does have the least, like, for competitive games wise as far as using joystick accuracy has the most Hall Effect joystick controllers.
They don't have, because literally their controllers out the box are garbage.
But
yeah, I'm just
like literally one kid playing anything, you're done. Anything that isn't like fucking that Fit Adventure shit or whatever the fuck that doesn't really need you to use the sticks, you're done.
All right, so while Jubei's out grabbing milk for the baby, give your outro.
all right.
Oh, you weren't done?
Me?
Oh yeah, I'm already done. I already said the controllers I'm reviewing, and the next another controller that I plan on purchasing because we got another Hall Effect joystick controller. I know Nintendo Switch actually just got another Hall Effect joystick controller based off the GameCube, which I'm not going to get because I don't own a Nintendo Switch, but it's really awesome looking. So that's it.
Yeah, Jubei, go ahead, outro yourself.
Yeah, you can find me at Jubei X Sensei on gaming platforms, Jubei Sensei everywhere else. I hope I get some more time in the next God knows how long so I can actually play some games.
All right. And Zero, where can people find you?
Of course, everywhere. It's always, guys, wonderful. You can find me 0x386 pretty much everywhere. Just playing games, man. Inevitably, you will see me playing Star Ocean pretty much all day, every day. But until then, we'll play some Destiny. Let me know.
Sit right there. All right. All right. So, let's see. Last but not least, Kofi, where can people find you?
As usual, guys, you can catch me at creative_Kofi on Twitter. And yeah, lots of great RPGs that are getting played later this week, including East, Fate Samurai Remnant, and Adventures of Guy, which is an action-based Dragon Quest game that has its own anime that I have not watched. So you guys know I will be busy and posting a lot about East, hopefully early next week.
All right. All right.
Yo, Kofi, you got a time chamber, don't you? That's the only fucking way you got time to play all these damn games. Right?
This is where my campaign probably comes to a L. I don't know how I can do 3 RPGs releasing on the same day. I was doing great because everything was perfectly laying out. It was like, oh, there was a month between this and this, and 3 weeks between this and that. But now it looks like
I see how they do it now. So you could take any place. Oh, I see you guys now. Somebody released Hall Effect modules for DualSense controllers, so you could do it yourself, or a third-party company can just do it for you. So you guys do have Hall Effect modules.
Right.
Scuff is starting to think about using it. Red Extreme is starting to use it. So yeah, somebody released the modules, and you can either solder it on yourself or pay one of these third-party companies $200+ to use their controllers. But yeah, you guys do have Hall Effect joystick controllers. Good job.
All right.
but there's also that one that you saw I tagged you in, right?
No, I didn't see the one you tagged me in. You gotta tag me.
It's already like
tag me in it again so I can see it, please. I have
it
to
should
check
be
that
that
out.
far up in the chat.
All right. Well, this is all stuff that can be talked about off air. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone for coming through and watching our show. I'm glad you got your weekly dose of that vitamin G, and we are out.